year. We've had our eyes on Illinois. So it is the biggest game because we've been preparing for the last 8 months for this game. So like I said, I think the team is excited and confident going into this game Saturday.
That was offensive lineman Ethan Piper yesterday, speaking on the conversations in the locker room about this season and how important the first game of the year is to them. With the Huskers' Week 0 game at Illinois slowly approaching, things are starting to take shape with the team. Despite the lack of a depth chart from both Nebraska and the Illini, Nebraska's defense has taken shape with the handing out of the black shirts. 12 of the prestigious jerseys were handed out to the defense, 3 in the secondary, 4 on the defensive line, and 5 to the linebackers. Notable missing black shirt, the second corner opposite of Cam Taylor-Britt. The first game of the season up in Champaign this Saturday will kick off at 12:20 p.m. on Fox. In MLB news, the Kansas City Royals extended their win streak to 4 games with the 7-1 win over the Astros. The Chicago Cubs ended their 13-game losing streak inside the friendly confines of Wrigley Field with a 6-4 victory over the Rockies, and something had to give in the first matchup between two teams on 9-game win streaks in 120 years when the Yankees went down to Atlanta and beat the Braves 5-1. For more of the latest sports news and updates, keep it tuned right here to 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is Tom and Bock, coming at you live from Koppel Chevrolet GMC Studios in the heart of Lincoln, America, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here are your hosts, Tom Stevens.
I always tell people, I just hope they see a guy that loves what he does.
Jake Bockelman.
I didn't get any stupider, I know that. I have never been very smart.
Tom and Bock starts now.
We are starting right now and go until 2 o'clock today at Chick-Fil-A. Hope you drop on by your 27th at Pine Lake, where you could stop by and register for the tailgate meal for 15 people. Are you kidding me? Chicken nuggets, check. Fresh fruit, iced tea, or lemonade. The winner is going to be drawn tomorrow and contacted then. But we're going to do every Tuesday at either this location or the location near 48th and O. all season long, Bock. How excited about that are you?
Oh, I can't. I mean, how much more could you be excited about? I mean,
You can't be.
Tailgate Tuesdays, good to be a part of it. I know you've done this for a little bit. Chicken, and we're going to get some free Chick-fil-A, I've heard. Yep, there's rumors we might get some free
What
Chick-fil-A.
will you choose? Do you know what you'll choose? A chicken's just probably a basic chicken sandwich.
I'll probably do chicken strips. I like to dip it in the sauce.
You eat a lot of chicken. How much chicken
yeah.
do you consume weekly, do you think? Over 10 pounds?
Probably not over 10 pounds, but pretty close to it. I always say that if whenever I die and hopefully, go to heaven, hopefully, we'll see how that goes.
I think you're going to heaven.
Yeah, but what the first question I might ask is how many chickens have I eaten? How many, full chickens? Because it's got to be like hundreds,
like
thousands,
if we
probably.
did the post-mortem, like the autopsy, they're going to say, man, he loved chicken.
Yes,
he really liked chicken. And why wouldn't you? It's Chick-fil-A. That's where we're going to be all day today. And every Tuesday, we're going to alternate between this location and 48th and O. But Charlie Colon, one of our favorite people in the history of mankind, former baseball player at Nebraska. So we talk a lot of baseball with Charlie. But, the first thing I talked to him about today was football. And he didn't hear the press conference from yesterday. So I had to give him the spiel.
Oh, yeah. There wasn't much to hear.
It was just over 5 minutes. It was 21 questions. It was the shortest press conference I'm hearing since Bill Callahan was here.
Who takes that?
Yeah.
Who takes that
Remember
time?
Bill Callahan, who's probably too little complicated for you. I could explain it to you, but I don't think you get it.
Yeah.
And yesterday after the press conference, I argued that I didn't like it. It was something, and Simple talked about this, that Scott really needs to, alleviate some of the pressure for the players this year. And it seemed a little short. It seemed a little tense. And maybe going into game week, you don't need to be that tense. But I thought, that's Bill Belichick, baby. That's Nick Saban. That's game week mode. Maybe it's a good thing, but you don't feel that way still today.
Not necessarily. I think there was just an opportunity for some layups. I think it was a bad last week. Obviously, you couldn't speak on the investigation that's going on. Just kind of some bad storylines. I thought that there was layups there provided with the black shirt giveaway. The university made a nice little video together of former black shirts coming in and giving those away. could have had a nice story about the tradition or whatever, or just talk for a few minutes about it. The captain's obviously another layup. Just talk for a few minutes about Adrian Martinez, what he's been, how he's developed. But Scott Frost just wasn't in the mood. Again, it's not the biggest deal. It's just, to me, as thinking from the PR side of it, it just felt like, it's game week. We should be excited. Let's give the fans a little bit of something to get them more excited. And it ultimately turned, at least on Twitter and message boards, it turned some of the fan base against the media. So
right.
It's very interesting what's going on in the Husker world right now.
I've gotten those things. I got them on the text line yesterday, by the way, 464-5685, the Sutter Haven text line, the Honda of Lincoln hotline. Love to hear your calls, your texts. People thought, that I was a little too hard on Scott Frost yesterday. I don't know. I just reacted in the moment. It seemed he was testy. I talked about that on the radio with you.
Yeah.
Steve Sipple wrote about Frost being a little frosty yesterday. I mean, I think everybody realized it. Tom Chattel wrote about it. Some people liked it. Some people thought it was a little bit curious. When a coach is up there getting 21 questions and only 5 minutes and looking around quickly to make his exit, you make yourself aware of that. It's okay to acknowledge that he did that, right?
Yeah, I think it's okay to acknowledge it. I don't have any problem with the media going about it because it's different. That's why it stood out. If this is, like you say, if it's a Belichick, well, that's what Belichick does every press conference. So
right.
You're used to it. You expect it. Usually Frost will give you a little bit of something, but he just wasn't in the mood for whatever reason yesterday. And I thought it was a time where it would have been a nice time to clean up, get some good feelings going into this weekend. But at the same time, maybe it goes more along the theme of, instead of frustrated with the allegations or whatever, maybe it's more in line with the, hey, we're not going to bring a depth chart today. We're not going to talk much today. We're not going to give any bulletin board material. We're just focused on the game. And that's what a lot of fans took from it is this. He looks football ready. He's ready to roll. Stop talking. They've been talking for 4 years. It's time to win or shut up. And at this point, he hasn't won, so maybe he should shut up.
Well, let's be honest. We've been critical of Scott Frost sometimes in the past for saying we had our best week of practice, and then they come out and lay an egg.
Yeah.
So he just, hey, one of the things he said during the press conference is we got to prove it. We've had a really good fall camp, but we've got to prove it. He seemed to be in prove it mode. Like, I'm sick of talking. The players are sick of talking. We know that we've been through Kool-Aid sessions every year since I've been here. Sometimes I think he feels like maybe he got himself in trouble for saying that, we're going to go out and be who we are. And they're going to have to adjust us. So those types of things, the very first press conference. And maybe that's not a bad thing that he's being a little tight-lipped. And obviously coming off an NCAA investigation still ongoing, maybe he just feels like, you know what, I don't want to talk to you people right now. Like a mom with her kids, or, I'll go to your rooms. I'll talk to you when I talk to you. I'm just tired of you right now. I do want to mention this. You mentioned black shirts. 12 of them were handed out yesterday. 12 Husker players got the black shirts. Defensive lineman Ben Stilley, Damian Daniels, Ty Robinson. And then you had DeAndre Thomas. Not a big surprise, but he didn't play much last year. Linebackers JoJo Doman, you had Nick Henrich, Garrett Nelson, Caleb Tanner, and then from the DB room, Cam Taylor-Britt, Markel Dismuke, Deontay Williams. Any surprises for you?
Well, it's just interesting how you sometimes you go about it. I mean, I guess is certain camp battles. Would you say that you knew for sure that Caleb Tanner would be a black shirt? Probably not. So I mean, there's a few guys in there that are that way, but I think what really interests me is that they only gave 3 defensive backs the black shirts.
Yeah.
That camp battle opposite Cam Taylor-Britt to start at the cornerback spot apparently is ongoing. Regardless of who they start at cornerback this week, I feel like it's ongoing because they didn't give anybody the edge. I mean, somebody's going to have to run out there. I know, for the most part, you're going to want, especially at that spot, you're going to want to portray confidence in your cornerback because you can't play that position if you don't have a high level of confidence and usually arrogance. So, how do you do that? Maybe a black shirt would be good, best used to give to whoever that starter is, but it clearly that's what they're more doing right now is pushing those guys, saying it's not given, hasn't been earned. You're going to have to do it on the field. So that's just it's an interesting way to go about it. Sometimes I have felt in the past, we all have our personal ways we want the black shirts to be given. After years and years of debating it, I think most people would just say, whatever, just do whatever you want. But I like the idea of having the black shirts be the starting 11. That unit as a team together, and then maybe have it be very special to have a 12th or a 13th guy get it, because they're basically whether it's a nickel package guy or just a guy that's just that much of an impact that maybe he doesn't start, but he clearly plays a lot. I think it would be special for those guys to get a black shirt if it was usually giving to the starters. This way, it just feels kind of like a hodgepodge of who deserves it. But that's a way of doing it too. These are the guys that we can lean on, that we know. That they're going to start. They're going to be our guys on defense. And then there's some other spots where you're fighting that camp battle, and it's going to continue into the season.
Well, on the other side, I mean, it makes sense that you don't know necessarily who's going to be on the other side of Camp Taylor-Britt. He's your lockdown corner. And then you've got your safeties. We knew that it would be Markel Dismuke and Deontay Williams. You got Miles Farmer, who's there, Noah Pola-Gates. You feel like you've got some depth there. But you're locked down at those positions. And then it's maybe a nice problem to have that that Quentin Newsome could be that guy, that Tyreek Johnson could be that guy, that Braxton Clark could be that guy. So you have options on the other side of Cam Taylor-Britt.
Depth, I think.
Yeah, I think you've got good depth there. I don't mind 12. You saw some years that under Mike Riley, or years even before that under Bo Pelini, it got up to like 15 in some cases. Yeah. I think 12 is about right. You throw in a nickel corner and boom, there's your 12. But it is interesting that they didn't pick somebody on the opposite side, and we're into Tuesday of game week. They didn't pick somebody on the opposite side of Cam Taylor-Britt.
Well, that's it might go along with the theme of just secrecy. No depth chart release. Nebraska's not the only team doing it. I think half the Big Ten hasn't released their depth charts yet. Illinois in specific, they had their press conference the other day. Bielema decided not to release a depth chart. So there's a lot of secrecy and gamesmanship there, which I like. I think that's kind of fun. As a media member, sir, I'd like to have the depth chart and break it down and all that for you today. But as just thinking from the coach's perspective, I don't know how much of an edge it's going to give you. Certainly not much past the first quarter. You're gonna kind of see who they're running out there, but it's a little bit of an element of surprise maybe here and there, and just a more difficulty scouting for the opponent to do for you. So I think that's interesting. And then again, the black shirt thing. Again, there's different ways to do it. If you're a real traditionalist, you can argue and hammer those points home, but the problem is the black shirt defense hasn't been the black shirt defense. So you can hand out the jerseys. It does mean a lot. I don't want to take anything away from the kids that are earning it, but overall that unit needs to get back to a point to where they're top 25 nationally, or something to be reckoned with. And then I think those arguments will heat up a little bit more. Right now I think it's just kind of a dressing, a side issue. And again, something that I thought they put out a nice video, but didn't really, and maybe part of it was because Frost again didn't use that platform to give the black shirts maybe more of a stage at this point. Maybe he feels they don't deserve it. Again, with what I'm talking about, they haven't been a top 25 unit, but I thought that's again why I'm a little disappointed with what he used it, because the black shirt is a special tradition at Nebraska. There's not many places around the nation. I think especially in recruiting, it should be pretty special that you say we have a tradition just for the defensive side of the ball. That's how much the defensive side of the ball, it's built in the culture here. And to me, it's always a story. It's always fun to follow who gets the black shirts, who doesn't, and then who earns them throughout the year. It
was kind of cool to see that Trev Alberts was one of the guys handing them out, along with Barrett Ruud, Jason Peter, Jay Foreman, Danny Noonan, Chris and Chad Kelsey. You had Kenny Wilhite handing out black shirts. It was interesting that Cam mentioned that he says he thinks that Trev Alberts is the one that gave him his black shirt.
Oh no!
He might want to look up. He might want to look up a YouTube video on Trev. He was an All-American, won the Buckus Award, and obviously, but
he's the athletic director.
I think that happens with generally with kids today. Damn kids today.
Yeah.
It's nice that they have former black shirts handing them out. and the Trev Alberts is one of them. But they honestly don't know who they are.
It means a lot more to us, the fans.
It totally means more to us than the fans. But I still think it's cool that they did that. I think it was him, that athletic director guy.
That's just sometimes it's funny what flies over the heads of some of the people that are in it. And he's in there probably working out, getting prepared, certainly for the NFL and after this season. And, so it's nothing against him. It's just kind of funny some of those times. I remember was it Bruce Reed when Jordan Stevenson was basically was coming to Nebraska, and somebody asked him, and it was a big story. That was around Big Ten Media Days. That was the story every Husker fan knew. And somebody asked him about him, and he said, I don't know who that is. And then 2 weeks later, he's returning kicks on his kickoff unit. I always hold that against the communication of that staff, but sometimes it is just kind of funny what flies over the heads of the people that are in it.
Yeah. What about a Nebraska football history class taught by Tom Osborne or the Black Shirts? It required, they do all these things for incoming freshmen. And as you get closer to the NFL draft, they make you, life skills, that type of thing. Yeah. Wouldn't it be a great idea for these guys to have to watch YouTube videos of Trev Alberts and Barrett Root?
I think it would be good. I think that unfortunately, I don't think you should make that mandatory. There's some people that would be interested. Some people would probably be turned off by that. And really, it would hurt the old perception of Nebraska living in the 90s. Can you imagine recruiting against that? They're going to make you watch 1994 tape. I know you were born in 2002, but
that's right.
It's important to know what Nebraska was doing in the 90s here.
Yeah, you could get a Bill from Husker 24/7 board to teach the class, as a fill-in teacher. He's got the pants pulled way up high. And he's got a chalkboard, and he's diagramming the I formation for those who don't remember it, and reminding them. Sure. I think, you would take that class. I don't know that a lot of current Huskers would. A lot of people think we're broadcasting in a wind tunnel, or is it just you breathing?
It might be.
We could get somebody maybe to hold up a blanket right there or something like that. Sorensen, do something, Sorensen. A lecture taught by Tom Osborne is enough to put anybody to sleep. That's probably true. He did teach a sports psychology class. He's a doctor of psychology, and I know he taught a class back in the day. You didn't take it, did you?
No, I didn't. I wonder, I wonder too about those speeches that he gave, because sometimes I don't know, you just wonder who he was probably not the fire up guy on the staff. He was kind of the guy you listen to. And I know when he said, kind of similar to Bobby Bowden, when he said dadgummit or something like that, you listened, you knew he was upset.
Justin's got a conspiracy theory, maybe no depth chart because Luke is transferred back and is starting on Saturday.
Wow, that's quite a conspiracy. I don't know if it would shock me at this point, but
I think Wet Blanket says, I think Tom has mentioned Noah Polegates 3 times on the show for every snap that he has played at Nebraska. Well, he was a high-profile guy. He had an offer from Alabama. Why shouldn't you mention Noah Polegates?
When he's in it, some of those times those guys just never make it. But he's in that. If they did release a depth chart, he's been one of those guys named as a top backup. He'll probably be starting next year.
Miles Farmer is another guy that would be taking off. But you've got Markel Dismuke, you've got Deontay Williams. There's no room for anybody. I mean, it doesn't really matter how good you are at safety. We know the 24-year-old guys with kids are going to be the starters.
With 2 years starting experience.
Yeah, and very good football players, by the way. Yeah. You'd like to see them stop targeting, but that's a thing.
I don't know if I'd like.
You like the targeting.
Well,
you want more targeting.
Like the aggressiveness. I don't maybe want too much targeting, and certainly it hurts you, and you have guys. But when you have depth back there, it won't hurt you as bad. And neither those guys are both very good.
Yeah,
but they're not maybe a Nate Gary type. When you lost Nate Gary, you didn't have another Nate Gary.
Yep.
And I'm not saying they're starting for a reason, but I don't think losing them for a half would be so detrimental to this team as opposed to the opposing wide receivers knowing those guys will lay the wood.
Right, and
those
then
guys
you get to see Miles Farmer and Noah Polegates,
go.
I'm talking about, who I think will perform well if you have such an incident this year. We've got a good show for you today. It's Tom and Bock. We are live at Chick-fil-A. Of course, right near 27th and Pine Lake. Stop by Chick-fil-A, the locations. You can go to the other location as well at 48th and O and use the Chick-fil-A app to order or scan it. to get your rewards points, and you'll be registered to win a free tailgate meal for 15 people. That's chicken nuggets, that's fresh fruit, that's iced tea or lemonade, and the winner will be drawn Wednesday and contacted by Chick-fil-A. So definitely do that. But on the show today, we've got I'm looking forward to talking to Jeremy Werner. I've looked up a couple of his clips. He's really good.
Yeah.
And he talks a lot about Illinois football. He's from Illini Inquirer. And we'll talk to him about the Brett Bielema era, maybe look back a little bit into the Lovie Smith era as well. BC from Husker 24/7. He's going to be on at 1 o'clock today. He's got a thing, maybe he said with coworkers, Mike Schaefer probably, and the kids.
Oh, nice.
So I might be going to lunch with those guys. So we're going to move him till to 1 o'clock today. Box tops today. What do you got for box tops?
Oh, my favorite top 10. I'm going to do this all year long. I really like diving into the history of the opponent. So today it's my favorite Fighting Illini players of the past.
Nice.
Yeah.
Butkus,
Yeah,
right?
Dick Butkus is right on there. If you got a trophy named after you, got to be right on there.
So I guess I guessed one on the list, and we'll see if I can come up with any others. I'll think about that. In the meantime, it's Brian Munson of HuskerOnline.com. We'll talk to him next.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. This is Tom and Bock. Early break with Sip and Jake.
We're going to the West Coast here to talk to Vince in Napa, California. Vince, you're on early break. Go ahead, man.
As far as this turnover issue, I mean,
Yes.
it's hard. I mean, obviously, it's no secret that that's been a major problem the last decade. Now, Sip, Jake, I mean, you guys will appreciate this one. The offense has been like the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Give it away, give it away, give it away, give it away.
Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning. 93.7 The Ticket. Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
The heat and humidity in full force once again today. A heat advisory in effect this afternoon. Actual temps near 100. It will feel more like 105 with a south wind at 15. Slight chance of storms this evening. A low dropping down to 71. Just a touch cooler tomorrow with a high of 93. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Tractor Supply Distribution Center in Waverly is now hiring for all shifts. They're a 24/7 facility and a clean environment to work in. There's potential to earn up to $25.25 per hour with opportunities for overtime. They also offer a retention bonus as new team members are eligible for a bonus as high as $1,000. Come be a part of the Tractor Supply team. Apply today at www.tractorsupply.jobs.
Hey, it's Sean Callahan, and football season is here, and there is one place that has all the games, plus great food and beer specials. Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. Whether it's Thursday night football, college football Saturdays, NFL Sundays, or Monday night football, there's a great view of the game from any seat with different food and drink specials every night. Try the Blue Ribbon Reuben Sandwich or the Prime Rib French Dip or any of their famous chicken wings. That's Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
No doubt about it, a water softener saves you money. Don't have one? Call the plumbers at Bryant. Just one call and no arm-twisting contracts. For a free estimate, call 467-1111 or go to BryantLincoln.com.
New owners means new lunch specials at the Fox Bar and Grill. They've just introduced tons of options on their new under $10 lunch menu. Small nachos grande, a classic cheeseburger, 4 boneless or traditional wings and fries, or a small single topping pizza for just $5 each. Try the mushroom Swiss burger or the pepper jack stack burger for just $6. And for just $7, try any of the classic steak Philly, club wrap, grilled chicken salad, or grilled southwestern salad. It's the under $10 lunch menu at the Fox Bar and Grill, just south of 14th and Pine Lake.
This is your High School Minute.
With your Southeast Community College High School Minute, I'm Harrison Arns. Week 0 scores are in while other high school teams are getting ready to suit up for their first game. The Lincoln North Star Navigators secured their first win in their season opener against Hastings, 23-14. After being down by as much as 14 due to turnovers, they rallied back in the second half for the win. In other Week 0 matchups, Cross County came out against Blue Hill 86-8. Laurel Concord Coleridge beat Homer 62-0, and Sandy Creek came out on top against Schuyler 24-0. In season openers this week on Friday, Lincoln High will face Lincoln North Star, Fremont will play at Lincoln Northeast, Gretna will play at Lincoln Southwest. On Thursday, in their season openers, Lincoln Pius will play at Lincoln East. This has been your High School Minute, sponsored by Southeast Community College, with locations in Lincoln, Beatrice, and Milford. Learn more today at southeast.edu.
I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when it happened. There was a sudden jolt, and our submarine crashed on the seafloor. We were in total darkness.
That's Dr. Dejana Figueroa, a marine biologist and STEM teacher, talking about a deep sea dive she'll never forget.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I was afraid of the ocean, and there I was, 2 miles below the surface. But as a scientist, you prepare for that. Using our training and a little creativity, we fixed the sub and finished our experiments. The dive was just too important. Every dive gives us glimpses at things few people ever get to see. Glowing creatures, fiery undersea volcanoes. When we got back to the surface, I kissed the ground and called my mom, of course. But you know what? I wouldn't trade that dive for anything.
Dr. Figueroa uses her passion for STEM to discover new things and make the world a better place. She can STEM, so can you. Check out She Can STEM for more stories and inspiration. A message from the Ad Council.
You're listening to Tom and Bock on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
From Chick-Fil-A at SouthPointe, 27th and Pine Lake. Stop by either Chick-fil-A location. You don't have to be here necessarily. Either the SouthPointe location or 48th and O, and use the Chick-fil-A app to order or scan to get rewards points. And you'll be registered to win a free tailgate meal for 15 people. That includes chicken nuggets, fresh fruit, iced tea, or lemonade. Let's bring in Brian Munson of HuskerOnline.com. Hi, Brian. How are you? Maybe not. Is Brian there?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. We didn't hear you in our headphones. We're live on the road today, Brian, so there might be technical issues from time to time. Let me start with this. The press conference from yesterday. It wasn't the normal Scott Frost press conference. Just over 5 minutes, 21 questions. He kind of went into Bill Belichick mode. Do you like it?
I did. I think it gets back to just kind of look. You got to lock in at some point. And a week ago, when we were talking about his press conference, it was tough. I mean, you had a media person that was bringing up these allegations of an investigation, things that were kind of coming up out of the deal, and it was the week before you got into basically, the game week preparation for Illinois. So you have got to get back to getting back to business, and you can't allow for too many distractions to kind of pop up this week, because this week 0 game is a big one for Nebraska because they come out in a Big Ten season opener. So it's a significant way to start the season for Nebraska.
Do you think that there is a danger? I thought it was interesting the other day. Deontay Williams said it's kind of like the Super Bowl for Nebraska to win, to open up with this game. Do you think there's a danger in putting too much on it?
I think that there is. I think you can second guess your preparation. I think you can second guess the advantages that Illinois has when it comes to what they could go ahead and unveil. Where we've talked about before, or at least I've talked about when it comes to Belima and what he likes to do when it comes to his teams. When he's played against Nebraska, he loves to dial up the pressure and he loves to pound the football. And I don't think I would stray too much, but you can second guess that. You could say, well, what if we're not ready for this? And what if we aren't ready to do that? And I think you can get into these different types of equations and trying to figure out and guess what could really happen. And I think that also you can load up a bunch of pressure on yourself. And I just think Nebraska has to go out and execute. If they really feel like they've had a good fall camp, which by all indications it feels like they do, then they really just need to go out there and execute the way that they've gone out and done their fall camp practices. And if you don't really want to have a whole lot more being said beyond that statement right there. Just go out and execute, you'll be fine.
Brian Munson of HuskerOnline.com is our guest. I guess not a big surprise yesterday. No depth chart came out from Nebraska. There's no depth chart for Illinois as well. How much of that is gamesmanship and how much of it is, both sides not wanting to reveal just anything?
Yeah, you stole the word. There's some gamesmanship along with it. Nebraska doesn't have a whole lot of competitive advantages, except that for this game last year, McCaffrey got the start. So they didn't see the film of their defense, basically against Martinez. So Nebraska does have, at least that kind of going for them. But outside of that, Nebraska, they're planning for a team that's got a new head coach. They do know what his tendencies seem to be, and I think that they're probably planning on that. Planning on seeing that a little bit on Saturday, a little bit at the least. Probably a good chunk of it, is probably a little bit more accurate. But I think that there's some gamesmanship, and I think Nebraska's trying to maintain one of the only competitive advantages they have when it comes to the mysteries around, playing against a coach you haven't played before at that school and just a season opener in general. So I think Nebraska is doing the right thing, and Illinois is playing by the same rules apparently over there on their side.
There's been talk this offseason about how it's not, Nebraska's not doing themselves any favors here lately either, about not as much hype going into the season. Certainly, if they drop this first game to Illinois, that'll certainly hurt. But some people are looking at that Fordham game and opening up with that. Once again, you'll have fans in the stands. But if they drop the Illinois game, do you expect there still to be a sellout look that day? Or do you think that all the offseason lack of hype and then an opening loss would really deflate the program and they'd have difficulty filling that thing up for Fordham?
I don't think they'll have a hard time filling it up for Fordham, because I don't think there's any doubts about that, what that outcome should be against Fordham. And I think that would help Nebraska get out onto the right foot and get them going down the path following the Illinois game, obviously to kind of get things right and right the ship. But I don't, I'm not really all that. Maybe I'm in the minority here, but I just don't know if I really see it as like Nebraska should be worried about losing this game. I have a little bit more confidence, I think, and I think that maybe they need to have it as well. But I don't see Nebraska as having any problems potentially to sell out that game week 2 or week 1, I guess I should say, or the home opener, if they do happen to follow in Champaign this Saturday.
Hey, Brian, I want to get back to the depth chart real quickly, because one of the black shirts not given out was the opposite corner to Cam Taylor-Britt. We don't know who the starting running back will be. We don't know who the backup quarterback will be. What are your answers to those questions? What are you guessing?
Yeah. So, and obviously you've got some questions with Corcoran. You've got some, the health I think is going to be good for Austin Allen too. So I don't know necessarily if Corcoran's going to be. So let's start there too, because I want to talk about Corcoran. I think the biggest challenge Nebraska has at offensive tackle, if Corcoran can't go on Saturday, is the pressure that Illinois potentially could dial up. You're going to want somebody there that's maybe got a little bit more game experience, and playing left tackle is a tough thing to do anyway. So you're going to want. You really would wish that you had Turner on the field. That's why he's a starter. So I would look very closely for that. I think that the cornerback position opposite CTB is very interesting. I've heard Johnson at times has looked the part. I've heard obviously that Farmer that has looked very good, and Newsom as well. And I've also heard some really nice things about Marcus Buford and what he's been able to do as a true freshman while he's been there at Lincoln. I'm not sure which way I am really leaning when it comes to the cornerback opposite. I think you're going to see a steady rotation. I think you're going to allow some guys to kind of go out there and prove that they can be the guy opposite CTB. I don't know if I guess right now at this point it would not surprise me if it's just Farmer rolling out there on Saturday as opposed to Tyree Johnson. I think Johnson can come in and still win that spot and win the lion's share of the snaps kind of going forward. And then you mentioned one other spot.
Running back was a big concern.
I think Gabe Irvin's going to be your guy. I really do. I think, and that's a true freshman then, and you're turning and putting the responsibilities on the true freshman. But I think that you're going to see a lot of Gant. I think you're going to see some step. I think Scott. I think that there's been some really nice words about Simeon Morrison, and then of course Raheem Johnson. You know, he's got some great speed back there, and obviously I think that he's a guy that feels like he's got a lot to prove. So I think you're going to see Irvin out of the gate, though. I think that Irvin's going to be your starting running back.
He's Brian Munson of HuskerOnline.com, our guest. What do you expect from Brett Bielema this Saturday? Because we don't know. I mean, we think that they'll try to just dial up that old Wisconsin running game, and probably that is the strength. They do have 117 starts on that offensive line. They have 3 really good running backs. Is that what they'll do, just ground and pound?
And that's Brett's game. Brett has beat Nebraska consistently when he's come and played Nebraska with that game plan. I fully bet that he understands that his strengths are exactly like what you said. He's got a good offensive line. He has got depth at the running back position. He can go into a lot of those situations, and time of possession plays in big right now. You want to limit your turnovers and your mistakes. Run the football. Run it right at them, and we're going to eat up clock. We're going to eat up yardage. We're going to tire those guys down. They've been susceptible to giving up big plays before against the run. You want to find yourself kind of doing that again, lull them to sleep, get them to break down with discipline in the back end where maybe you can go ahead and pop it over the top. There are definitely those thoughts that I have about how Illinois will basically come out and run right out Nebraska and really challenge them up front. So Nebraska at least has got that depth thing going for them now in the trenches on the defensive side of the football, and that's going to come in big, I think, on Saturday. And I think it's going to be a warm one, and I think you're going to want to keep guys fresh and rotating in there through the defensive line.
Now, before we get this season kicked off, I don't know if you have officially announced what your projection is, but in thinking that they're probably going to handle Illinois pretty well, I'm thinking you're more of one of the more optimistic men covering the Husker football team this year.
I see Nebraska as improving the record. I have gone back and forth between 5-7 to 8-4. I think that they're somewhere in the middle there. I can't put them better than 8-4. I struggle at times to get them even that high where I'm kind of backing it off and saying, look, it's really more of a 6-6 kind of team, because I see these, you circle Ohio State, you circle Oklahoma, and you turn back around and you go, okay, then there's Iowa, and there's Wisconsin, and there's Northwestern, and there's Minnesota, and you really kind of get to that point right there. And obviously then you still talk about Michigan, kind of being one of those teams as well, but you get Michigan in Lincoln, I believe. You got to go to East Lansing for Michigan State. I feel like this is a team right here that's going to be 500 at least, and if they really come out and execute the way that I've heard they have been doing so far in fall camp, they could be as good as 8-4. So I'm stuck between the 6-6 to 7-5 kind of thing, and at best being kind of an 8-4 team potential.
Is there a big swing game on the schedule for you? Like at Michigan State seems like a tough one coming off the Oklahoma game. You've got Northwestern and Michigan, and at Minnesota, then Purdue, Ohio State, Wisconsin. That stretch with Ohio State, Wisconsin, Iowa is really tough to close the season. But is there a big swing game? Like if Nebraska wins it, they could really gain some momentum.
Yeah, I think Nebraska has got to think that way about Michigan State, because if you get Michigan State the last weekend of September, you're going to get Northwestern at home, and then you get Michigan at home. So then if you can get those 2 games behind you and you have some momentum, then you can go ahead and get up to Minneapolis and be riding high on the confidence. And you can play against Fleck now, by going out there and doing the things, obviously you wouldn't be searching for an identity. You're not looking for a guy to step up. If you've gotten through those first 5-6 games and you're healthy, and you can go to Minneapolis and let's say you're 5-1, 6-1 by that point. That actually looks then really, really good for you to potentially go to Minnesota and try to get one there and come back home and play against Purdue before you've got to host Ohio State and then travel to Madison
Right.
and then get Iowa at home to finish up the season. If you can get to that mark, only having dropped the game at Norman when you're traveling to Minneapolis, that's a really, really big thing. So that puts a lot of pressure on coming back from Norman, getting focused, going to East Lansing, and winning that game. That's your big swing game of the season, in my opinion.
Brian, we know that Nebraska is currently, I think, ranked in the 60s in recruiting. It's not going to be a very big class, so there's not a lot of hope that they'll climb maybe even to the top 30. So what is this recruiting class all about for you? Just filling needs?
Yeah, Nebraska has to feel good about where they're at with their 2 freshman classes right now. They're above 50 guys combined between redshirt and true freshmen currently there on campus. So what are you really looking for? You're looking for a couple guys that do things a little bit differently that are part of that are in those 2 classes. So you're looking for a little bit like the Ashton Hayes commitment at running back. I think everybody would have said, well, there's other guys that would have made a lot more sense. Well, Hayes looks a little bit more like Wandale Robinson than he does a running back. And if we go back and review what we just talked about with the running back position, a lot of talent, a lot of depth, not a lot of experience, and they're young guys that are still there. So you can take a guy that does things a little bit differently there that could see some different time, playing the slot, playing some wide receiver, moving that guy around. So his game, what he does is he kind of expands your ability to run certain plays because he's got a little bit different of a skill set. So I think you're trying to do things a little bit, get some guys that do some things a little bit differently. I think you're also looking for some guys that are more potential, guys like Fallon Erickson's not a guy that's going to be like Ben Harder Corcoran that you get him on the field, in a year. He's going to take a little bit more time to kind of get him back into the program and develop him. But you want to find the right guy that you can develop. And I think that the key here is finishing it out, how they're going to maybe grab one more offensive lineman and then the rest defensive backs. Those defensive backs, to me, they're going to have to be versatile. I think they're looking for some versatility back there with some guys that can move between corner and safety, guys that can slide around and not find a reason to have to take them off the football field because they can't do this one thing right. They're looking for a little bit more of a versatile, kind of longer, rangier player in the secondary with these spots in this year's class.
Pick for Saturday. What do you got? What score do you got?
I got Nebraska winning, like you probably would have guessed. I'm somewhere in that 27 to 13 to 17 range. I think at best Nebraska can win by 2 touchdowns. At worst, it's a touchdown in a field goal. I think it's a 10 to 14 point margin, but I'm somewhere in that 27 to 13, 27 to 17 area right there. I haven't really locked it in. But I don't think Nebraska quite gets to 30, but I think the defense ultimately keeps Nebraska in a really good spot throughout the game on Saturday and keeps Illinois from scoring 20 points.
We would take it. It's a win. Brian Munson of HuskerOnline.com. Brian, thanks for the time. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, be good, guys. We'll see you.
23-13, 23-17, you take that?
Oh, I'll take any win. I think I do. I think it's going to be a close game. I like what Bielema has coming right in. I think he's taking a pretty good team of that offensive line, running backs ready for him to go, starting quarterback. So I think that they can get going pretty quickly. I just hope Nebraska's ready for that challenge. I think they will be.
Their offensive line, Nebraska's offensive line, better be for real. And because I know that that's what they do well, and Bielema wants to do. They have 117 starts among 3 players who were all super seniors on that offensive line for Illinois. And they have a really good running back in Chase Brown. They have Reggie Brown. They have Mike Epstein coming back this year, who we've seen in the past. So they have some depth. I don't think they have any NFL first rounders. I don't think they maybe even into the 5th round. I don't think they have a lot of those types of players, but they do have experience. And that game worries me. I mean, every game, I guess, worries me until I at least see Nebraska play and prove it. That's where I am. I'm in prove-it mode. By the way, we are not breathing into the mic. It is wind. It's windy today. The flag is really blowing hard here at Chick-fil-A. It's Tailgate Tuesday, and it's back. Stop by Chick-fil-A. This location and the location at 48th and O. This is the SouthPointe location. Use the Chick-fil-A app to order or scan and get your rewards points, and you'll be registered to win a free tailgate meal for up to 15 people. That includes chicken nuggets, fresh fruit, iced tea and lemonade. The winner is going to be drawn tomorrow. So stop by this location at SouthPointe or 48th and O. We're going to be here till 2 o'clock today. We'll be back with more. The Blog Jog is next.
Tom and Bock. Watch live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch.
At Madonna Therapy Plus, your health and safety is our first priority. Whether you're recovering from a minor sprain or a complex medical condition, our therapy experts can help relieve pain and increase mobility in an environment that adheres to enhanced safety guidelines. Therapy Plus is open in Omaha and Lincoln for comprehensive physical, speech, and occupational therapy, all with enhanced in-person safety plus new telehealth options. So don't let wellness wait. Learn more and schedule an appointment at therapyplus.madonna.org.
At Buffalo Wings and Rings, they've crafted a new league of superior chicken sandwiches. Meet the Ringers. It's premium, house-made, beer-battered, fried chicken served buffalo, Korean, or MVP style. Head to Buffalo Wings and Rings Lincoln and raise a glass to superior chicken. 2 locations at 68th and O and at 40th and Old Cheney. Buffalo Wings and Rings. Tractor Supply Distribution Center in Waverly is now hiring for all shifts. They're a 24/7 facility and a clean environment to work in. There's potential to earn up to $25.25 per hour with opportunities for overtime. They also offer a retention bonus as new team members are eligible for a bonus as high as $1,000. Come be a part of the Tractor Supply team. Apply today at www.tractorsupply.jobs.
New owners means new lunch specials at the Fox Bar and Grill. They've just introduced tons of options on their new under $10 lunch menu. Small nachos grande, a classic cheeseburger, 4 boneless or traditional wings and fries, or a small single topping pizza for just $5 each. Try the mushroom Swiss burger or the pepper jack stack burger for just $6. And for just $7, try any of the classic steak Philly, club wrap, grilled chicken salad, or grilled southwestern salad. It's the under $10 lunch menu at the Fox Bar and Grill, just south of 14th and Pine Lake.
I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when it happened. There was a sudden jolt and our submarine crashed on the seafloor. We were in total darkness.
That's Dr. Dejana Figueroa, a marine biologist and STEM teacher, talking about a deep sea dive she'll never forget.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I was afraid of the ocean. And there I was, 2 miles below the surface. But as a scientist, you prepare for that. Using our training and a little creativity, we fixed the sub and finished our experiments. The dive was just too important. Every dive gives us glimpses at things few people ever get to see. Glowing creatures, fiery undersea volcanoes. When we got back to the surface, I kissed the ground and called my mom, of course. But you know what? I wouldn't trade that dive for anything.
Dr. Figueroa uses her passion for STEM to discover new things and make the world a better place. She can STEM, so can you. Check out She Can STEM for more stories and inspiration. A message from the Ad Council.
Security First Bank. We're the bank, and we make your mortgage more manageable with flexible terms, trusted advice, and competitive rates. When you work with us, we'll know your name, but we'll also get to know your home dreams too. Security First Bank of Lincoln. Voted Best Small Bank in Nebraska by Newsweek magazine. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender. NMLS number 505011.
Get in, get out, and get your hands on a great career. Did you know Southeast Community College offers short-term training in almost 20 programs of study? That means you can get your certificate at SCC and get right to work without spending years in school. You can train at one of our 3 campus locations in Beatrice, Lincoln, or Milford, or our 6 learning centers across Southeast Nebraska. If you want to find your next step, visit southeast.edu/academics. SCC, your path to possible.
In every office, there's 2 types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe. Grab yourself a hot dog, pour a glass of eggnog, and settle in. This is the Blog Jog. on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are live at Chick-Fil-A. Rico is live in the studio, and it's Blog Jog time. Hi, Rico.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Good. I can't wait for lunch. What's your favorite thing at Chick-fil-A? Chicken?
No, I think I'm a fan of the burgers.
Rico going out south. Yeah, I can see Rico walking up to the counter and say, "Oh, I'll take a double cheeseburger."
Yeah, can I get a double cheeseburger with chicken nuggets on top, please? Thank you.
You could get a double cheeseburger made without the cheese and chicken.
Can I get a double chicken burger?
Probably could. You probably could.
Okay
we'll talk to Charlie about putting that on the menu.
Right.
Might be already.
Big fan of the spicy chicken sandwich, though.
Oh,
yeah, there you go.
Oh, their chicken is so good. I really like the Southwest chicken salad. But Bock is going to be his own man. He's not going to be influenced by what I tell him to get. What's on the blog jog?
Some stuff and some things. Give me a second. I should have had this music ready, but I didn't. And that's on me.
You're always prepared. This is stunning information.
I know. I'm never not prepared. I'm very
always prepared.
Always.
Except for the times when you're not.
Except for those couple of times. Sorry, that's kind of loud, but it's fine.
That's okay.
Anyways, so we have some stuff and some things.
All right.
This one comes from Fox News.
Fox News?
Fox News, not Fox News.
Start that up soon.
Oh, okay,
Fox News. Cow attacks prompt beach closures at popular tourist destination.
Where's that at?
It is in Corsica, France.
I was gonna say it's kind of rare to have cows around the beach. I think.
Yeah, this beach is famous for its sunbathing cows. Apparently, the cows got tired of the people and chased them down the beach. They had to close the beach and try to get the cows to chill.
Are there cows next to people? I mean, maybe you could be sunbathing and say, you know what I could really use? A glass of milk. There's a cow.
Nobody wants milk on the beach.
Yeah, I don't think you're doing that. I don't think you're really hot and want a glass of milk. I don't think that's
what does the cow do once he catches you, though? Just kind of like nibble on you?
One person was gored in the neck.
Oh, okay. That's enough to get me running.
Cows don't. I mean, that's a bowl. Cows don't usually have gores.
Some of them have horns. Cows have horns. It's fine.
You ever tried to ride a cow?
Have you ever tried to tip a cow? That's
no,
popular.
No, I've never. I think it's awfully mean that people do that. I guess if you grow up on a farm, and you don't have much to do, you go tip the neighbor's cow.
Is it a joke that they can't get up? Can they get up?
No, they can definitely get up. It's just the fact that you're pushing a cow over. Also, cows are massive. I don't, that's gonna be it's gonna be hard
because they sleep standing up. Correct? Kind of like horses. They sleep a lot standing up, so you can just run over there and push them over.
I'm not gonna
whoa, what happened?
I'm not gonna pretend to be a cow expert.
Yeah, clearly you don't even know if they have horns or not.
They do have horns. I didn't.
That's a bull. That's a bull.
Cows have horns.
Okay,
whatever.
Text line: does a cow have horns? 464-5685.
I'm not sure. I'm staying out of it.
This one comes from BBC. McDonald's in England, Scotland, and Wales have run out of milkshakes.
Oh no! Oh, that would drive me crazy.
What a tragedy.
I'm a regular runs a milkshake guy, and I think they probably have them here as well.
Do
you have a milkshake here? Are there milkshakes available?
I think so. I think they do.
I'm gonna get a milkshake.
I haven't had a milkshake. I've had the frozen.
too.
I've had the frozen lemonade from there. Oh
yeah.
Oh, delicious. The lemonade at Chick-fil-A is A1 lemonade.
What is it about their lemonade? Because you're right.
It's fresh squeeze is what they say. It costs extra, but it's worth it.
Absolutely.
You can't.
So what was the story though?
They run out of milkshakes.
Yeah, McDonald's in England, Scotland, and Wales have run out of milkshakes because of the supply chain issues.
For entire countries? That's
yeah.
Rough.
Well, maybe because the cows are all on the beach. They can't get a hold of the cows. That happens.
Seems like the milkshake machines are often down, right? That's a
Well, now
complaint.
the milkshakes just aren't there, so the machines have no reason. The machines are working. We just don't have milkshakes. Sorry, Charlie.
That's all I would get sometimes in high school, either the ice cream or a milkshake. because the food was just awful. But the milkshakes were okay. You go to the lunchroom, and sometimes you can get a decent milkshake, which we had available.
The milkshakes at Bellevue West were amazing.
Were they really?
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, the food.
You rich kids,
The food
you
was
rich
amazing.
kids at Bellevue West have the best
Rich
milkshakes.
kids. Not rich. Not rich.
Where is Bellevue West on the food chain of high schools in Omaha?
What do you mean?
Goes.
As far as wealth goes,
the wealth food chain.
It's behind all the Millard schools.
Well, everybody's behind all the Millard schools. And
I
West
want
Side.
to. I want to say. Well, obviously behind West Side, Creighton
Yeah, and
Prep,
Prep.
Marion.
Okay.
I want to say it's also behind Papillion. I consider Papillion La Vista to be the richer of the Papillion schools.
Okay. But you did have milkshakes.
We did have
Yeah,
milkshakes.
you did have milkshakes.
Well, that's
We
good.
have
Did you have
milkshakes.
flavored milkshakes like Oreo milkshakes?
No, we had chocolate,
Oh, yeah,
strawberry,
yeah.
and vanilla. We just
Couldn't have been that poor if you had milkshakes available.
Just
That's what
basic.
I'm saying.
Whatever, man.
You're a very wealthy man in life, Rico.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. You want me to say you're a really poor man in life?
Yeah,
You've done
yeah.
horribly.
No, yeah, we can go with that. That's okay.
All right.
Everything is
We have time for
spread
one
out.
more.
Okay, one more.
A Russian toddler was lost in the woods for 4 days, and when the mother found the toddler said, "I'm never running away again."
How old was the toddler? I mean, did you?
Like 3 to 4, maybe.
22
How old a
months.
Toddler is 22 months.
Wow.
That's hardly even a
and
toddler.
could complete that sentence? I mean, that's a
That's
Never.
a smart kid.
Never
and he
again.
Never went
Running
wild
away
for
again.
4 days.
For
Did you
4
ever run away
days.
from home?
Russian toddlers. Don't mess with Russian toddlers.
Bach, Rico, ever run away from home when you were a kid?
No.
No, I never ran
As you
away.
said, I had a rich life.
That's right. But you deny that. I would run away once a week, go to my friend's house across the street.
Oh, yeah.
And
How
then
long
realize.
would you stay there?
Well, I would until I got kicked out. It's time for you to go home. I realized it was cold outside, so I'd just go home.
They're just like, Tom, you got to go. We can't. Look, you can't stay here.
Yeah,
You're eating
they
all
would-
of our food.
Yeah, that's right. They would instantly call my mom anyway. Well, he's over here, and we'll kick him out in about 2 hours.
Do you think you could survive in a forest for 4 days?
I don't think I could survive anywhere for 4 days. I
It's like
barely
air-
survive at
you need
home.
air
The kid-
conditioning and
The kid had no food or anything, but apparently 4 days worth of. I don't
That's
know.
fairly impressive. I'm always impressed. 21 days, naked and afraid, that they can do that. 4 days as a toddler at 22 months is really pretty impressive.
They're doing speaking of Naked and Afraid, I think they're doing like a dating version of that.
oh, nice.
Oh, wow.
It's
Well,
Naked
they're
and
already
Afraid.
naked.
It's like Naked and Afraid in Love or something.
But you've got the naked part out of the way.
Yeah, there you go.
So,
I think that's going to propel some things forward rather quickly.
This could be a problem.
I want future updates on the blog jog, on the dating version of
Naked and Afraid. I will
Yeah.
do my best. I don't know if I'll. I love Naked and Afraid. I don't know if I'll watch this version.
Is your wife going to ban you from watching
No,
it?
she also loves Naked and Afraid.
All right. It's a naked family watching
see.
Naked and Afraid. All right. Thanks, Rico. Appreciate
No problem.
it. Let's get to break. Box Tops.
That's
Box
right.
Tops is we've got Jeremy Werner, which I'm very excited about, from the Illinois Illini, actually, Inquirer. We'll talk Illinois football at the bottom of the hour, but Box Tops is next.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. This is Tom and Bock.
Another packed fall season means it's time to get to N Street Drive-In to fill up on all your beverage needs. Right now, they have tons of Oktoberfest beers, and you can check out their Cosmic Eye and Glacial Till selections as their beers of the month. Also, make sure to download the new N Street Drive-In app to order online and to set up delivery right to your front door. And don't forget their top-notch Crowler fill system. N Street Drive-In, your one-stop beverage shop at 1801 O Street.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by Security First Bank. A relationship you can count on.
The heat and humidity in full force once again today. A heat advisory in effect this afternoon. Actual temps near 100. It will feel more like 105 with a south wind at 15. Slight chance of storms this evening. A low dropping down to 71. Just a touch cooler tomorrow with a high of 93. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday. You lost Wednesday. You're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
T.O. Haas Tire and Auto.
T.O. Haas Tire reminds you there's still plenty of summer left for one more long weekend, one more day in the sun, or one more getaway drive down your favorite road to enjoy one last stretch of summer. And we're here to help with up to $100 back on a new set of Michelin tires, including the all-new Cross Climate 2.
T.O. Haas Tire and Auto, a tradition of trust.
Security First Bank. We're the bank, and we make your mortgage more manageable with flexible terms, trusted advice, and competitive rates. When you work with us, we'll know your name, but we'll also get to know your home dreams too. Security First Bank of Lincoln. Voted best small bank in Nebraska by Newsweek magazine. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. NMLS number 505011.
New owners means new lunch specials at the Fox Bar and Grill. They've just introduced tons of options on their new under $10 lunch menu. Small nachos grande, a classic cheeseburger, 4 boneless or traditional wings and fries, or a small single topping pizza for just $5 each. Try the mushroom Swiss burger or the pepper jack stack burger for just $6. And for just $7, try any of the classic steak Philly, club wrap, grilled chicken salad, or grilled southwestern salad. It's the under $10 lunch menu at the Fox Bar and Grill, just south of 14th and Pine Lake.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. 93.7 The Ticket sports news go now.
I'm Enrique Alvarez-Clary.
Most important game of Saturday. I think that's been stressed on the team. We can't get ahead of ourselves. We got to go one game at a time. And Illinois, we've been, since the Rutgers game last year, we've been had our eyes on Illinois. So it is the biggest game because we've been preparing for the last 8 months for this game. So like I said, I think the team is excited and confident going in this game Saturday.
That was offensive lineman Ethan Piper yesterday, speaking on the conversations in the locker room about this season and how important the first game of the year is to them. With the Huskers' Week 0 game at Illinois slowly approaching, things are starting to take shape with the team. Despite the lack of a depth chart from both Nebraska and the Illini, Nebraska's defense has taken shape with the handing out of the black shirts. 12 of the prestigious jerseys were handed out to the defense, 3 in the secondary, 4 on the defensive line, and 5 to the linebackers. Notable missing black shirt, the second corner opposite of Cam Taylor-Britt. The first game of the season up in Champaign this Saturday will kick off at 12:20 p.m. on Fox. In MLB news, the Kansas City Royals extended their win streak to 4 games with a 7-1 win over the Astros. The Chicago Cubs ended their 13-game losing streak inside the friendly confines of Wrigley Field with a 6-4 victory over the Rockies, and something had to give in the first matchup between 2 teams on 9-game win streaks in 120 years when the Yankees went down to Atlanta and beat the Braves 5-1. For more of the latest sports news and updates, keep it tuned right here to 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is Tom and Bock, coming at you live from Koppel Chevrolet GMC Studios in the heart of Lincoln, America, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here are your hosts, Tom Stevens.
I always tell people, I just hope they see a guy that loves what he does.
Jake Bockoven.
I didn't get any stupider, I know that. I had never been very smart.
Tom and Bock starts now.
It just hit us last week that Open kind of indicates that we're big lovers of Mike Riley and Mark Banker.
Like this is year 2016. We just love.
We ultimately intend to have a different Open every day with a different coach, but for now it's just Mike Riley and Mark Banker.
Yeah, we decided the worst coaching staff ever for Nebraska would be a good one to base our show around. Keep expectations.
Back to more important things. Cow Talk continues on 93.7 The Ticket. We've got a lot of texts on cows during the break. We were wondering if cows do stand up like horses when they sleep. No, they don't. They lay down. In fact, cow tipping used to be a way to ditch city kids in the country. So cow tipping is really just a myth, according to the text line. Cows do sleep laying down. Somebody else says all cows have horns. Cow tipping is fake. Sorry, boys. What else? Some breeds do have horns. Others are contending that all breeds have horns. Let's see, what else? Cows do have horns at birth. They're removed by the ranchers when they are calves. At least the Black Angus and Hereford cattle in Nebraska are that way. They also remove the other parts. It's not a good it's not a good day for the cow, is what I'm saying.
Man, I don't know. I always feel bad about that. I know you're always supposed to get your dogs and cats spayed and neutered and stuff. I never did that to my dog. I just couldn't do it.
My wife, Heidi, grew up on a farm, and they had cows, and they had chickens, I believe, and they had sheep, and they would show them the sheep and the cows at the state fair. Like that's a thing for a lot of kids that grow up on, farms and ranches.
I thought you were about to say that your wife, Heidi, had you spayed and neutered.
That's right. Well, she's tried, unsuccessful so far. But remember Bob Barker used to always say that The Price is Right.
Yeah. It's a noble cause. I understand why you do it. It's a problem with a bunch of pets getting, or I should say pets, cats, and dogs being put down every day because there's too many of them. But I just couldn't do it to my friend. He's my I can't look him in the eyes afterwards.
I would never do it to a friend.
Yeah.
Not even an enemy. I wouldn't do it to an enemy. Think about it, but certainly not do it. Let's hit box tops. Ready, go.
Ready.
Do we have the sounder for box tops? There we go.
There it is.
There we go. I feel much better now.
This
is similar to Top's 10, but only different. And what's today's topic again?
My 10 favorite Fighting Illini alumni that played football there.
All right.
My favorite, and you could do best, but then to be honest, Illinois has got a lot of guys from like the 20s and 30s and 40s that might be their best. So we better go with the more recent guys that didn't quite make the cut. Tell me your favorite one out of these guys. Howard Griffith and Jay Lehman over there at BTN.
Is good running back, right?
Yeah, Griffith was. Lehman was
Howard,
linebacker.
I remember Howard Griffith really well. Had a nice pro career.
Yeah, I think that he always has the same stat. They give those stat under his names. I think he scored 6 touchdowns once, and that's all I ever know about him because that's all they put underneath his name on BTN.
DP and Howard are actually very good friends. Of course, DP is friends with everybody.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
But we should get him on during the football season. He's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a good commentator. Aurelius Ben, wide receiver, didn't make the cut. Kirk Kittner, the quarterback from the early 2000s Rose Bowl team.
Seattle,
Nickerson
played
Jr.
for Seattle, I believe.
Yeah.
Yep.
Geronimo Allison, he would have made the cut just because of his name, but he beat Nebraska that one year.
All we have to do is take a knee, Bob.
Neil Rackers, how about that kicker?
And I believe, back to Geronimo Allison, he was a JUCO recruit. Nebraska, I think, offered him got in on him late, but he chose Illinois.
Yeah, so that's too bad. He's still playing in the NFL. But my top 10, let's start with number 10, Pierre Thomas. Remember him, a running back for the Saints Super Bowl team. He started 3 years for the Illini from 2004 to 2006. His best year was as a sophomore in 2004 when he ran for 893 yards and 8 touchdowns. All of this was on some very bad Illinois teams. So he was undrafted, not very notable going into the draft, but his camp was so impressive that the Saints released their 4th-round running back pick, Antonio Pittman, and went with him instead.
Wow. Yeah, he was on a couple of my fantasy teams.
Yeah, he was a good running back for a few years.
Yep.
Number 9 on my list, Vontae Davis, of course, a cornerback. He was a 2-time All-Big Ten cornerback, 7 career interceptions at Illinois. He was the younger brother of Vernon Davis, a better-known Davis brother. 25th pick of the 2009 draft, a 2-time Pro Bowler with the Colts during his 10-year NFL career.
Nice.
Number 8 on my list, Nathan Shielhouse, specifically freshman Nathan Shielhouse. He was a lot more exciting. The rest of his career didn't go quite as well. He's now the wide receiver coach at Iowa State, but he was a 4-year starter, a dual-threat quarterback that amassed 8,568 yards passing, as well as 2,066 yards rushing. But he was a bit turnover-prone, 55 touchdowns, 37 picks, 19 rushing touchdown. Lost his only game that he played against Nebraska, 39-19. Nebraska beat him when Amir Abdullah rushed for 225 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah, number 7 on my list. We talked a little bit pre-show about this guy, Jeff George, who's kind of known as an underperformer maybe in the NFL. He had all the talent in the world, didn't quite live up to potential, I think, as the number 1 draft pick from 1990. His career actually started at Purdue in 1986. Had a pretty rough start there. 4 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. The Purdue coach ended up leaving, and they went to a run-based offense. So then George committed to Miami, but then he backed out when Jimmy Johnson wouldn't guarantee him a starting job. So he decided instead to go to Illinois. And in 1988 and 1989, he started. His big junior year was 1989, 2,738 yards, 22 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions, leading the Illini to a 10-2 record and a top 10 finish. Once again, he left before his
They were
senior
top
year.
10 team in the country that year?
In 1989, yeah.
Wow.
Which led him to be picked number 1 by the Colts. He ended up starting games for 5 different teams in the NFL.
Well, he played for the Vikings briefly, and I think he was on some of those teams with Carter and Moss. He had a big arm. And if you protected him, he was tough if you have weapons around him. I mean, the problem is he had no mobility, but he had a really big arm. He was like 6'7".
Yeah, he was big.
He's one of the tallest quarterbacks I ever remember in the NFL.
Number 6 on my list, I remember him well. Dick Butkus played from 1962
You remember him well, do you?
to 1964. Well,
Talk about his college career. Some of your favorite plays from Butkus.
Oh, man, 2-time All-American. Plenty of plays to pick from. But, of course, if you have a trophy named after you, it's hard not to put you on this list. His number 50 is one of 2 retired jerseys at Illinois. I'll give you a guess here in a second what the other one is.
Okay.
Was the All-American center as well back in the days when you played both ways. MVP of Big Ten in 1963. And, of course, went on to be a 5-time All-Pro and 2-time Defensive Player of the Years with the Bears. And so
Bears.
with the Bears.
Bears.
And can you guess the other retired jersey?
Red Grange.
Red Grange is correct. He's next on my list. The Galloping Ghost. The Wheaton Iceman. He's got some good names.
How much do you remember from his career in 1919?
It was great. He had a great career. But I really like I like players from back then because they did have very cool nicknames. He was a 3-time All-American, led Illinois to a national title in 1923. Was a 1924 Big Ten Player of the Year. He's got his number 77 retired. Of course, as a running back, that's a common number now.
He's got to be the only 77 in the history of running backs, right?
He's got to be right up there. No other players wearing 77 at Illinois anymore. His first college game actually was against Nebraska. And he scored 3 touchdowns against the Huskers as they beat him 24-7. Also won 2 NFL championships with the Bears in 1922 and 1923. So kind of weird that both their kind of historic players went on to play with the Bears. Kind of cool as well, as of course.
That's really kind of cool.
And the play of Red Grange inspired Grantland Rice to write this poetic description that I will read for you. I'm a big fan of Grantland Rice.
And poetry.
Yeah, and poetry. If you don't know, back in the day before TV, there was a thing called radio. And before radio, which was where you can hear us on right now, actually, was a thing called newspapers. And so the only way that people really knew what was going on was the newspaper writers. And Grantland Rice was kind of the leader of writing very interesting descriptions, very poetic words, ways of making it interesting. So here's his Red Grange bit. A streak of fire, a breath of flame, eluding all who reach and clutch. A great ghost thrown into the game that rival hands may never touch. A rubber-bounding, blasting soul whose destination is the goal. Red Grange of Illinois.
Wow.
Very cool.
That is so nice. I didn't know we were going to hear poetry today.
We should write something about Adrian Martinez, see if we can rival that later.
By the end of the show, we'll come up with a poem about it might be like roses are red, violets are blue. Adrian is great, and so are you.
Yes. Hey, there you go. That's a pretty good one right there.
There.
Number 4 on my list, we're going to jump ahead back into the modern day. Rashard Mendenhall, big-time running back on that Rose Bowl team, who was the coach then? That was like 2008, 2007.
Didn't that end in scandal?
Did it?
I don't. I'm trying to think of Illinois coaches.
It was Ron Zook. I remember. Now that I remember, it was Ron Zook.
Ron Zook, who was a great recruiter.
Yeah.
A really great recruiter. Now, that was the coach after Ron Zook I'm trying to think of that ended in scandal. But Ron Zook, I think he ended up going to Florida after that.
I think he started at Florida.
Yeah.
Illinois was his rebound job.
All right. And I always thought he should have been hired again. I mean, he was a great recruiter. He's the best thing that they've had.
Yeah, in a long time. For Rashad Mendenhall, though, he was 2007 first-team All-American, also the Offensive Player of the Year that year in the Big Ten. Set then a Illini record of 1,681 yards rushing and 17 touchdowns in that 2007 season. He was drafted with the 23rd pick of the 2008 draft. Actually won the Super Bowl his rookie year, but his career wasn't very good. He only lasted 6 years. Kind of started a little bit with the Steelers. Tried to rebound in Arizona. That didn't work. But in any case, he still makes my list. Number 3 on my list, Whitney Merciless, one of the best linebacker names, I think, in the NFL. 2011 unanimous All-American. He led the country with 16 quarterback sacks as well as 9 forced fumbles. A heck of a year for him. Won the Ted Hendricks Award, which is the top defensive end in the nation. Compiled 54 career sacks so far in 9 seasons with the Texans. Was also second-team All-Pro in 2015.
There you go.
Number 2 on my list, Simeon Rice, a 2-time All-American, 94 and 1995. Really, Whitney Merciless had a great career, but the sacks belonged to Simeon Rice at Illinois. School record, 9 sacks as a freshman, 16 sacks as a junior, 12 and a half sacks as a senior, and 122 sacks in a 12-year NFL career. Was a 3-time Pro Bowler, 2002 first-team All-Pro and Super Bowl champ with that Bucks team. He had 15 and a half sacks. Sometimes I think he gets lost. You mentioned, Derek Brooks and John Lynch and Warren Sapp, and you kind of forget Simeon Rice was maybe one of the key cogs, at least, on that incredible defense.
He was a great NFL player. And
wasn't Rondé Barber was the defensive back, too? I mean, that team was so stacked. That's how you win. I think that's how you win with Trent Dilfer. Was it Trent Dilfer or Brad Johnson?
Oh, that's right.
I mean, they did not have a quarterback, but that defense was so stacked it didn't matter. And, of course, everybody's favorite former Illini football player was Juice Williams from that 2008 Rose Bowl team that finished 9-4 and top 20 in the nation. He threw that year for 3,173 yards, rushed for another 719 yards, 27 total touchdowns. His problem was he was pretty interception prone as well. 16 touchdowns that year. He finished his career with 56 touchdowns and 44 interceptions, another 18 rushing touchdowns. Actually benched his senior season that time.
Was he really?
Yeah, didn't go quite as well. He was just very turnover prone.
They won the Rose Bowl, or they played in the Rose Bowl?
They played in the Rose Bowl. They ended up losing to USC, but he's still, when you think of dual threat quarterbacks that maybe didn't make it in the NFL or have a big name, college football fans love Juice Williams.
I'm surprised he threw for that many yards. I really am. Was that a career number, or is that not his senior year? No, that had to be a career number, 3,000.
Yeah, that's probably a career number.
Yeah, because he was mostly an option quarterback.
Yeah.
But those were fun teams to watch. I thought Ron Zook had it in the right direction. I've always been surprised I've always thought Illinois, and now they built the $100 million football facility. I've always thought they were a sleeping giant. There's good football talent in the Chicago area. Notre Dame seems to get all of it. And now maybe Indiana's getting more of it. Nebraska used to recruit that area heavily back in the day. Lonte Brown is from there, and they've had a few recruits there recently. The best recruiting class from Lovie Smith was, I think, his first year there, and they were mostly Chicago kids. And then after that, they've tried to recruit Texas.
I really thought that Lovie Smith thing was going to work, of course, because of the name that he had in Chicago, having been the Chicago Bears coach. But but they're I mean, between Zook and Bielema and Lovie Smith, I guess it's the place where coaches go after they fail to try to revive their career.
I still think it's kind of maybe not a sleeping giant, but I think there's opportunity there for somebody to do something at Illinois. And maybe, obviously Big Ten money would help you. And a coach like Brett Bielema, you would think, running the football is something that everybody should be able to do. And I think that's the strength of Illinois this year. They have all those super seniors back. We'll see what they can do. But
I love that hire, especially in the Big Ten. I think long-term, Bielema seems to work in the Big Ten West, right? And it's going to make the conference. I mean, imagine if he does get Illinois up to that level, then you just add another onto that list that Nebraska has to go through that grind of Minnesota and Iowa and Wisconsin and Illinois, and they all play the same, and they all beat you down. And
you need a cupcake. You don't need another physical football team.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they're going to get. Remember Brett Bielema, as Harvey Perlman called him? We never went after Brett Bielema, and a lot of us wanted it.
Yeah, I've always liked it.
Certainly ahead of Mike Riley. We wanted Brett Bielema, but Bielema, I think, is a good choice. Spent some time, obviously, did really well with 3 Rose Bowls at Wisconsin. Didn't get it done at Arkansas. I don't know if that was ever a perfect fit, but I think it's a better fit.
It's tough to do in the SEC to start from scratch.
To run. I think you need to be more diverse offensively in the SEC with those defenses to get it done. Good list, Bock. I appreciate it. Jeremy Werner, he's from the Illini Inquirer, and we're going to talk about everything that you need to know about Illinois football. Are you ready?
Yeah.
We'll do it next.
You're listening to Tom and Bock. Watch live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch.
In every office, there's 2 types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday. You lost Wednesday. You're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe. Early break with Sip and Jake.
We're going to the West Coast here to talk to Vince in Napa, California. Vince, you're on early break. Go ahead, man.
As far as this turnover issue, I mean,
Yes.
it's hard. I mean, obviously, it's no secret that that's been a major problem the last decade. Now, Sip, Jake, I mean, you guys will appreciate this one. The offense has been like the red hot chili peppers. Give it away, give it away, give it away, give it away.
Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning.
Security First Bank. We're the bank, and we make your mortgage more manageable with flexible terms, trusted advice, and competitive rates. When you work with us, we'll know your name, but we'll also get to know your home dreams too. Security First Bank of Lincoln. Voted best small bank in Nebraska by Newsweek magazine. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. NMLS number 505011.
I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when it happened. There was a sudden jolt and our submarine crashed on the seafloor. We were in total darkness.
That's Dr. Dejana Figueroa, a marine biologist and STEM teacher, talking about a deep sea dive she'll never forget.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I was afraid of the ocean. And there I was, 2 miles below the surface. But as a scientist, you prepare for that. Using our training and a little creativity, we fixed the sub and finished our experiments. The dive was just too important. Every dive gives us glimpses at things few people ever get to see. Glowing creatures, fiery undersea volcanoes. When we got back to the surface, I kissed the ground and called my mom, of course. But you know what? I wouldn't trade that dive for anything.
Dr. Figueroa uses her passion for STEM to discover new things and make the world a better place. She can STEM, so can you. Check out She Can STEM for more stories and inspiration. A message from the Ad Council.
At Koppel, you can shop online for the most affordable crossovers, SUVs, cars, and trucks. They have new Chevrolet and GMC or used inventory, all at your fingertips. Hi, I'm Sean Callahan, and before I got my car at Koppel, I shopped online at koppelcars.com. I found a vehicle I liked, then I drove that money-saving mile to Koppel in Louisville. You should too. It was just minutes from I-80 or at koppelcars.com.
Have you been to Barn Wood and Leather, that new furniture store in Lincoln? It's a whole new look. If you like country, you'll love Barn Wood and Leather. It's country with a kick. Rustic, yet contemporary. Handcrafted in America from historic reclaimed barnwood and the finest leather. Create your own one-of-a-kind look for a room or your whole home. Come see for yourself at Barn Wood and Leather, South 14th and Dahlberg. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 5.
What are you doing, Sip?
I thought the chickens could use some more light in their lives.
So you're building what exactly?
It's a motion censored switchboard. Duh.
Are you sure you know what you're doing?
Of course. Ow! God!
Ow! Seems like a job for a professional.
Just one more wire. Yep, there you go, right there.
Don't be like Sip. Call Joe at Ambition Electric for any of your electric needs at 402-217-3415.
Get in, get out, and get your hands on a great career. Did you know Southeast Community College offers short-term training and almost 20 programs of study? That means you can get your certificate at SCC and get right to work without spending years in school. You can train at one of our 3 campus locations in Beatrice, Lincoln, or Milford, or our 6 learning centers across Southeast Nebraska. If you want to find your next step, visit southeast.edu/academics. SCC, your path to possible.
You're listening to Tom and Bock on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back, kids. We are live at Chick-fil-A. It's Tom and Bock here until 2 o'clock today. Stop by either Chick-fil-A location. You could do it here at SouthPointe or 48th and O. Use the Chick-fil-A app to order or scan to get your rewards points, and you'll be registered to win a free tailgate party for 15 people. That meal includes chicken nuggets, fresh fruit, also iced tea or lemonade. The winner will be drawn tomorrow and contacted. Good luck. But stop by and say hi here at Chick-fil-A. We want to say hi to Jeremy Werner of Illini Inquirer. Hey, Jeremy, how you doing?
Week. Nice to be here and have football to talk about at the end of August.
Awesome. Hard to hear. We are outside at Chick-fil-A. There's a wind tunnel going by us. It's about 30 miles an hour. But let's start with this. The first thing that sticks out about Illinois football is the experience. 22 super seniors. How big of a deal is that for Brett Bielema in his first year?
Well, I think it's a huge deal for Brett Bielema because it gives him a chance to be competitive in year one. If it weren't for this pandemic rule, Illinois probably would have had the worst roster in the Big Ten. They would have lost more than a dozen starters, and it just would have been a huge rebuilding process underway. Instead, he returns the starting quarterback, 3 starting offensive linemen, most of the starting defensive front, the best player on their team the last couple of years, Jake Hansen, and another defensive back, and all their specialists. So I think that basically what happened is a rarity is you get basically everybody back from last year's team that Lovie Smith really underachieved with. It was a weird year with COVID, and Illinois was certainly disrupted by that, with Brandon Peters being out for 3 games in the beginning of the season. But it's an apples-to-apples comparison to really get to see how much coaching matters, how much scheme change can matter, and whether that would be good for Lovie Smith or Brett Bielema remains to be seen. But everybody seems to be really high on what Brett Bielema can bring. So Nebraska is basically getting the same team they played last year and beat them 41-23. We know it's going to be a different game. There's a different quarterback starting for Nebraska. But it's going to be a pretty even matchup, in my opinion, because those seniors are all back.
How did Brett Bielema do that? I mean, that's kind of the question that rings for most college football, I guess, fans around the nation. Getting that nation-leading amount of guys to come back, especially for a coaching transition, you would think a lot of those guys would just say, well, I committed to the last guy. This stage of my career is over. Was it kind of a big movement, or was it just kind of like sprinkling in, day by day that guys are saying they're returning?
Well, I think it speaks to a couple things. One would be that outside of Nate Hobbs, who was a 5th-round pick, Kendrick Green, who was a 3rd-round pick, Illinois didn't have a lot of guys who were going to be no doubt NFL draft picks, right? A couple guys who left, Josh Metrorbebe and Milo Leifler, weren't drafted. So I think that says that the talent wasn't good enough to just leave and go elsewhere. And, I think they all wanted to come back as well and kind of wash the taste out of their mouth. But I do think Brett Bielema deserves a lot of credit for bringing these guys back. I think it says how big of an impression he made right away. And the other thing is having a lot of credibility. He had a lot of credibility doing what he did in the Big Ten, even doing what he did at Arkansas, guys. Like Arkansas might not have liked it at the time, but 29-34 with 3 bowl appearances, Illinois would love that after 5 years with Brett Bielema. So I think even people look at that now and say, hey, that'd be a decent run here for Illinois. But he convinced a couple guys who were on the fence. Owen Carney had entered the transfer portal after an all-Big Ten second-team season, and most people had him pegged for going to Wake Forest. Texas and Penn State were interested as well, and he decided to come back because Brett Bielema convinced him to. Tony Adams, a defensive back, considered going to the NFL or transferring, and Bielema was able to convince him to come back. So if anybody's seen Brett Bielema or interacted with Brett Bielema, he's very charming. He's a really down-to-earth dude, and he's very different than Lovie Smith. But I think this team, after the last most of the last 5 years was ready for something different.
Jeremy Werner of Illini Inquirer. The other thing that sticks out about Brett Bielema is he brings an identity to Illinois. He certainly has done that throughout his career, certainly at Wisconsin and Arkansas. And as you look at the roster for Illinois, the strength seems to be running back and offensive line. That fits well with his identity, right?
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to do things a little differently offensively. I don't think it's going to be exactly what he did at Wisconsin. Well, we know it's not going to be exactly what he did at Wisconsin. I think there will be a couple more spread concepts, but I think the identity and kind of his ethos of what he wants to do on offense is be physical, be more physical than the opposition, be tough, run the football, and then be efficient in the passing game off of that. And that's what Tony Peterson has done at some previous stops, including Minnesota, where he had a lot of success under Glenn Mason with running backs like Lawrence Maroney and Marion Barber and some good tight ends. They'll use the tight end a lot offensively. But, yeah, I mean, his kind of style and identity has worked in the Big Ten at Wisconsin, but it's also worked, guys, at places like Iowa and Northwestern, right? Places that have won here consistently recently. And I think that's what Illinois is trying to do. They're not trying to reinvent the wheel, but they want to be a development program. And on offense, I think you're seeing a lot of running backs, tight ends, O-linemen, potentially be kind of the guys that get to the NFL. But you still need a quarterback who can be efficient. You still need a passing game that can be effective. And sometimes those groups are overlooked during his Wisconsin days. But if you look back at some of those numbers, even outside of that kind of one Russell Wilson year, his quarterbacks were really efficient. The passing games, pass per attempts, efficiency ratings were very, very high. So that's the big question mark for this team, remains quarterback, because while you guys saw Brandon Peters probably in his most complete performance ever, he didn't follow that up. He had 3 poor games after that, was replaced by Isaiah Williams a couple times, but now he's back. Brett Bielema was betting on one more year, Brandon Peters, and getting the most out of him. So he's got a new group of wide receivers, including Isaiah Williams, who switched from quarterback to receiver, and they are very high on what he can add to the offense as kind of a slot receiver. But that's my big question is, can Brandon Peters kind of put it all together?
Now, looking back for a second, I love the Brett Bielema hire. I think it fits in perfectly with the Big Ten West, but I also loved the Lovie Smith hire. I thought it'd be, great for especially in-state recruiting, things like that. What went wrong under Lovie Smith at Illinois? Why didn't that thing work out?
Well, it was a huge hire on the surface, right? It's Lovie Smith. He took the Bears to a Super Bowl, which is, for a Bears fan like myself, that is no small feat. I can promise you. And that was a big splash hire. I think Josh Whitman, on his first day on the job, a 30-something-year-old Illinois alum, had to do something big to get the stink of the Tim Beckman scandal-ridden era and just kind of this weird era with Mike Thomas as athletic director, Tim Beckman as football coach. That was just a disaster. He wanted to get that out of the way. And Lovie Smith certainly, kind of gave this program some credibility and a little bit of stability. But the transition from the NFL to the college game, I just don't think he ever truly got a handle of, whether it was recruiting or it was really on the field, because his defensive scheme, guys, was truly awful. Outside of one great year with takeaways in 2019, down to down, they were one of the worst defenses in the Big Ten year after year. And it just felt like he didn't have the talent to run what he wanted in the NFL when he had great talent, right? So to do that, you got to go really do well in recruiting. You can just look at the recruiting rankings. Even though Lovie Smith, I do think, improved the roster, it still wasn't good enough to kind of run what he wanted to do. And, his hirings and his staff weren't all that impressive on paper either. And I think that at the end of the day, that kind of proved it. I just think it was too much of a transition. There's too much to learn. And with Lovie Smith being who he is and doing what he'd done, I think he was a little stubborn with some of those things. But Brett Bielema, I think Illinois is getting the best version of him, because he would admit like he maybe was a little stubborn, maybe a little arrogant at times when he was at Wisconsin and even in Arkansas. And I think, failure, even if Arkansas hasn't been better without him, I think, his personal failure of getting fired has taught him a lot and humbled him a little bit. And I think he's put together a really impressive staff. And I think he's been waiting for this opportunity and to do it in his home state, in a conference, and really kind of a division that he knows pretty well. I think Illinois is getting the best version, so we'll see what they get out of it.
Jeremy Werner, Illini Inquirer, talking Illinois football. One of the things that Lovey did well in his first year is recruit the state of Illinois, and it already seems like Brett Bielema is making inroads. Is that going to be his focus? Chicago, Illinois.
The first calls he made were to in-state coaches. And that's a huge change because Lovey Smith, his first year, I give Lovey a lot of credit. He recruited the state really well, and some of the guys, especially in the offensive line, it's Illinois heavy, set the foundation for Lovey to kind of take a step forward. It was temporarily in 2019. But then he kind of changed course and said, Illinois is not good enough talent-wise, and I'm going to go to Texas and Florida, which is fine because we know Texas and Florida is loaded with talent, but Illinois is still kind of getting the leftovers there, right? You got to get the great talent there, and they just weren't quite able to do that consistently. But then you also just kind of abandoned in-state. And I think Brett Bielema has learned when he was at Iowa or Kansas State or Wisconsin that if you recruit your state well, the program usually is in a pretty good spot. And I can tell you Ron Zook recruited the state well, and that helped him get to a Rose Bowl. When Ron Turner recruited the state well, that helped him get to a Sugar Bowl in 2001. So Illinois has a history of having these blips where they recruit the state well and it turns into success. They just haven't been able to sustain it. But yeah, so far 9 in-state commitments. Now, some of those guys didn't have other Power 5 offers, but Illinois got in early and closed early. But recently here, they've had a really good run of some Power 5 wins, including I guess the similar rival of both Nebraska and Illinois is Iowa. And Illinois has won 3 of 4 head-to-head battles against them here recently for recruits, which for Brett Bielema, an Iowa alum, is a pretty big deal because Iowa's usually been coming into the land of Lincoln and getting who they want.
What are the expectations this year as far as just kind of like a win-loss record? I know usually sometimes you kind of get that free year in year one, but I guess thanks to his own doing and re-recruiting those super seniors, he's at least inheriting a roster that seems to fit his style.
Yeah, and I think there's not a lot of pressure, right? Year one of a 6-year contract and a difficult job for Brett Bielema, but I do think he should take advantage or needs to take advantage of this opportunity because I think he's got a chance with all these seniors back to kind of expedite the rebuild, kind of similar to what I think Jeff Brom was able to do at Purdue, where he got a bunch of transfers in right away, was able to succeed and kind of get footing in the Big Ten West, went to back-to-back bowl games, and that allowed Jeff to get some great talent, whether it was George Karlaftis, Rondale Moore, David Bell. Now I know they've kind of underachieved maybe a little bit, haven't sustained those bowl appearances, but still it put Purdue on solid foundational footing when they were at the bottom of the Big Ten along with Illinois when he started there. So all that to say, if Bielema can have a bowl appearance this year, I just think it really raises the ceiling of what he can accomplish early in his tenure. And I don't think bowl is outside the realm of possibilities. I don't know if I'd bet on it today. I do think the over-under in Vegas of 3.5, even though those guys usually know what they're doing, that seems a little low to me, given the schedule that Illinois has. They got crossovers, and they're both at home against Maryland and Rutgers, 2 winnable games. There's a lot of winnable games on the schedule for Illinois, including a trip to Virginia, which won't be easy. But again, a game that I think Illinois has a chance to win. That's why this first game it seems so important, guys, because Illinois did beat Nebraska last year. 2 years ago, they had a 14-point lead in the second half against Nebraska before coughing that one up. So it's a winnable game. I'm probably predicting Nebraska in a close game. I'm probably predicting Illinois to go 5-7, but I think there's a huge range of possibilities with this team because they have so much experience. There are some guys who are going to be playing the NFL on this team, and I do think the staff is going to put them in better positions to win based on the schemes that I guess they'll unveil on Saturday.
Talking Illinois football with Jeremy Werner of Illini Inquirer. Neither team has released a depth chart. Scott Frost, I think maybe a reaction. I don't know if you saw the comment from Brett Bielema saying, I think we have an advantage because nobody really knows anything about us. Is that a big advantage for Illinois, in your opinion?
I think it's advantage for about 15 to 30 minutes, right? I think Scott Frost can unveil some things and do some, tricks that he hasn't shown yet in his offense. But we know what Scott Frost's offense looks like, and it can be very dangerous at times. Illinois has seen that in the past. Defensively, they return all these defenders. I know everyone in Lincoln is higher on what this defense can accomplish this year, and understandably so. But Illinois kind of knows how they line up, right? so you can put a game plan off of that and then adjust to anything they might show during the game. Yeah, we don't know if Brett Bielema's going to run a 3-4. He showed a very vanilla scheme during the spring game, but I think 4-2-5 is in the possibility, as well as like a 2-4-5. So yeah, I think he's done well to be secret. It's frustrated me as a reporter who wants to know these things, with fans who want to know these things. Offensively, I think we know a little bit more about what Tony Peterson is going to run. I think you'll see a lot of double tight ends. I think you'll see some spread elements, but you'll see an under center quarterback, unlike last year when it was a shotgun. I think you'll see a lot of play action pass. I think you'll see more bootlegs. So I think we have more of an understanding of what Tony Peterson will do, which is, I think, going to be more similar to kind of what the Tampa Bay Bucks ran last year, kind of a power run scheme with some new school kind of spread elements as well. But yeah, defensively, I think that's where they have an advantage. But to be honest, defensively is where they have to grow a lot, because the scheme, as I've said before, just wasn't very good against Lovie Smith. But I think it's only an advantage for about 15 to 20 minutes, guys. And then I think Nebraska makes their adjustment.
What are the names of about 3 or 4 guys that Nebraska fans should watch out for if Illinois is going to win that game? Who's going to have to play well for the Fighting Illini?
Yeah, I think offensively, one name that people should know is Isaiah Williams. He played quarterback for Illinois' first 2 years. One of the reasons he came to Illinois is because they were one of the few Power 5 schools to allow him a chance to play quarterback. And to be honest with you, late last year after the Nebraska game, Isaiah was a more effective quarterback than Brandon Peters was, because he's just a dynamic athlete in the open field. And I would compare him a little bit athletically, size-wise, what he can do in the open field to somebody that Nebraska fans know well is Wan'Dale Robinson. And you know what kind of impact a guy like that, who can line up everywhere, you can get him the ball in different situations. He just can make plays and break a game open at any moment. Illinois has lacked that kind of piece for a long time. He is unproven at the position, right? We haven't seen him catch passes very much in games. We haven't seen him at that position, but Illinois staff is very high on him. It's a good running back group as well, guys, with Chase Brown, Mike Epstein, Chase Hayden, Reggie Love. Chase Brown and Mike Epstein have been very effective. They were both good. Chase Brown, especially at Nebraska last year. The tight ends, Daniel Barker, Luke Ford, are a good group of tight ends. Barker's been effective. Luke Ford's a former top 100 prospect who just hasn't put it all together on the field. But then on defense, I think Jake Hansen, 6-year senior, actually had entered the NFL draft, guys, and actually came back with a waiver. He's just a takeaway machine. So he's their big playmaker in the middle of that defense. But two guys I think got to have a good game are Isaiah Gay and Owen Carney. They are moving from defensive end to hand-on-the-ground defensive end to kind of the stand-up, edge-rushing outside linebacker in this scheme. And I know Adrian Martinez is really dangerous, and I have a higher opinion of Adrian Martinez apparently than Scott Frost did last year. But he's crushed Illinois, and I know he's going to be a handful. So those guys on the edge, Gay and Carney, have to play well.
What are your reviews? What have you heard about Brandon Peters? How's he playing, the Michigan transfer?
Yeah, I mean, Brandon is so interesting because he's had so many really good moments, and then followed by moments where he just Illinois gets hit by adversity and he can't get him out of it. That was the case last year. Just consistency has really eluded him, and just as he looked to be taking kind of this quiet but by example leadership role last year or 2 years ago in a really good Red Box performance by him, he followed it up with a stinker at Wisconsin, where after the game he was kind of questioning his teammates and coaches, and it was just kind of a weird year. And then he missed 3 games due to COVID. Had a great Nebraska game, and then he had 3 of his worst games following that. So we've heard good things. I mean, the staff obviously believes in him to go with him to move Isaiah Williams to a different position. They've added former Rutgers quarterback Art Sikowski as some competition, and really just kind of a relief guy just in case Brandon has an injury. But he's got a lot to prove. I think he's got all the traits physically you want. They're wanting him to be more vocal. Not that he's going to be the rah-rah guy, but just to be a guy that's going to be steady. It's just consistency has really eluded him, both physically and as a leader. So he's got a lot to prove. He's my biggest question mark about how do I pick this season? Do I think this is the bowl team? Well, Brandon Peters plays like he did against Nebraska last year. I think Illinois could be a surprise team in the Big Ten, but if he remains inconsistent, it's just hard to pick them. To beat a team with a quarterback like Nebraska, who I think Adrian Martinez, I know he can get into some turnover trouble at times, but you just know he can make plays. Brandon's been less consistent with that.
Jeremy Werner, Illini Inquirer, real quick, about 10 seconds. We know Scott Frost has been a little testy this week. How's the mood of Brett Bielema?
Oh, he's undefeated right now. If you like, he's very, very popular in Illinois. He knows that can change with a poor performance, but he's been a breath of fresh air to people around here after Lovie Smith was very frosty, you could say, to us for several years.
Well, he is entertaining, I think you guys got a good one. Jeremy, thanks for the time. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Jeremy Werner, Illini Inquirer. I don't actually know if we will talk to him soon, but because we probably won't talk to him
next year.
Illinois. Well, soon, as in 360 some days. We'll talk to him down the road. That was good stuff. Really gave me a better glimpse into what we're going to get on Saturday from Illinois football. It is wingman time. We're not going to do a contest, but other than, would you like to get some chicken? 464-5685. Your chance to win some food, $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings. Just be caller 5 on the studio line right now, 464-5685, and your chance to win that if you are caller number 5 next. Let's get to break.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. This is Tom and Bock.
Security First Bank. We're the bank, and we make your mortgage more manageable with flexible terms, trusted advice, and competitive rates. When you work with us, we'll know your name, but we'll also get to know your home dreams too. Security First Bank of Lincoln. Voted best small bank in Nebraska by Newsweek magazine. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. NMLS number 505011.
Baseball's back, and it's time to celebrate, Lincoln. We're inviting fans back to Haymarket Park to join in the fun for the Salt Dogs' 20th season. Pick out single-game tickets and plot your own Salt Dog schedule around promos and deals. Come to Haymarket Park for Nebraska Medical Association Thank You Tuesdays, Fairbury brand Wiener Wednesdays, Thirsty Thursdays, Fireworks Fridays, Souvenir Saturdays, and Sunday Family Fun Days brought to you by Casey's. Get your tickets for the Salt Dogs celebration season at saltdogs.com.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
The heat and humidity in full force once again today. A heat advisory in effect this afternoon. Actual temps near 100. It will feel more like 105 with a south wind at 15. Slight chance of storms this evening. A low dropping down to 71. Just a touch cooler tomorrow with a high of 93. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
At Koppel, you can shop online for the most affordable crossovers, SUVs, cars, and trucks. They have new Chevrolet and GMC or used inventory, all at your fingertips. Hi, I'm Sean Callahan, and before I got my car at Koppel, I shopped online at koppelcars.com. I found a vehicle I liked, then I drove that money-saving mile to Koppel in Louisville. You should too. It was just minutes from I-80 or at koppelcars.com.
Tractor Supply Distribution Center in Waverly is now hiring for all shifts. They're a 24/7 facility and a clean environment to work in. There's potential to earn up to $25.25 per hour with opportunities for overtime. They also offer a retention bonus as new team members are eligible for a bonus as high as $1,000. Come be a part of the Tractor Supply team. Apply today at www.tractorsupply.jobs.
Dancing at weddings, walking the dog, playing with grandchildren. These are the small moments that make life great. They're also the moments that chronic pain steals from us. Don't let chronic pain stop you or a loved one from living life. At MD Pain, we wrote the book on effective, ethical pain management. We offer the most up-to-date treatments from Nebraska's leading physicians. Don't let pain stand in your way. Call MD Pain.
Get in, get out, and get your hands on a great career. Did you know Southeast Community College offers short-term training and almost 20 programs of study? That means you can get your certificate at SCC and get right to work without spending years in school. You can train at one of our 3 campus locations in Beatrice, Lincoln, or Milford, or our 6 learning centers across Southeast Nebraska. If you want to find your next step, visit southeast.edu/academics. SCC, your path to possible.
Your home should not be a zoo to unwelcomed animals. Let the experts at Bats to Rats take care of those problems. Dane has been a leader in wildlife and pest management and prevention in Lincoln and the surrounding area for 15 years. He can help you get rid of bats, rodents, and anything else. Whether it's residential or commercial buildings, schools, apartments, or churches, they're always a phone call away. Call today at 402-310-0904 or visit batsterats.com. Bats to Rats Wildlife Control and Prevention.
This is Wingman.
Son, your ego is writing checks your body can't cash. I don't like you because you're dangerous. That's right. You can be my wingman anytime.
Brought to you by Buffalo Wings and Rings on 93.7 The Ticket.
464-5685. We were looking for caller number 5. Rico, did we get anybody? Did we get somebody that called on
Yes,
the
we
text
did.
line?
We did get a winner.
All right. That is fantastic. Enjoy your $15 worth of wings from Buffalo Wings and Rings. And back here, live. We are broadcasting live. I know this is something that we haven't talked about yet, but I think it's a really big deal. The Big Ten, the ACC, and the Pac-12 have announced an alliance. And they're going to announce the alliance. Isn't it like 2:00 Eastern, or have they done it officially?
they're having a whole press conference ready for
Yeah.
that stuff.
That's a big deal. I heard Paul Feinbaum yesterday say that he thinks that the Big Ten should just offer Oregon and USC and be done with it. But what do you think about the alliance?
It's a way. It seems to be a way of staving off ultra mega conferences, right? The SEC is kind of moving to that mega conference level with 16 teams, and certainly that could be the Big Ten. I mean, if I'm those other, for the Big Ten, it's an option. For the other conferences, it's the option. If you don't want to get eaten up by the SEC and the Big Ten, you need to make sure that there's more conferences standings that's going to be available out there. So, I mean, that's to me what's interesting is the Big Ten deciding to maybe stay pat, keep things as they are, because it's just fun. Realignment, right? You can talk about so many different things. If the Big Ten just went and took some of those Big 8 teams that are left, and everybody kind of chooses between them, then you can have still big conferences. But if the Big Ten wants to keep up with the SEC, then they have to grab the big brands, which basically leads to a future where I would see 2 big conferences, the SEC and the Big Ten. And if you're outside of them, good luck.
And this is just a scheduling alliance, right? It's not like
Right.
inviting them into your conference to get $55 million a year. That's the best way to go, right? You get the best of both worlds. You have a scheduling alliance, which preserves the Pac-12, which preserves the ACC and the Big Ten, theoretically, without having to give them money.
Yeah, and you wonder what happens with some of the future games that Nebraska's already scheduled, like with Tennessee, some of those SEC teams. Is this alliance going to change that? Is the SEC going to move? Because the idea is the SEC is going to move to more SEC games. I mean, when you're playing 16 teams, it's already just a bear of a conference. So, maybe they'll still play Mercer and, maybe keep some other game on there, maybe against the AAC or something. But for the most part, it's going to be all SEC action. And so this is a way of kind of countering that. It's a weird world we live in where the SEC wants to expand to more conference games after fighting against it for so long.
Right. I was against the 9-game conference schedule, even for the Big Ten, especially when you had the SEC out there only playing 8. I thought it was a big advantage for them. It will be interesting to see what happens to the Big 12. And Iowa State's a top 10 team in the country. They're going to be left out, in the fields somewhere, looking for a conference at some point. There was some speculation that maybe the Big Ten would invite them in. I don't know academically necessarily they fit the mold. But who else is in the Big 12 that you really want? Oklahoma State's a decent brand name. They're out there somewhere.
You get a Baylor, Texas Tech to get into the state of Texas.
Yeah.
That might be interesting. Kansas basketball, of course, once you get to the basketball level. But as far as the big brand names in football, it's just none of them are there. None of them are left. I'm very interested in it and very sad. I mean, I'm like you. like all of us, most of us grew up on the Big 12, the Big 8 days. And I have a lot of fun memories of watching conference games there and traveling to those games and those locations. I'm not sure. I mean, because you think about, could they, maybe line themselves up with a AAC or something, the American Conference? They could, but there's no brand names there either. So if they're talking about getting back to a Power 5 level, they're kind of being shifted. Nobody wants you. Nobody big is going to join the Big 12, so they're going to be shifted to kind of the lower level, the second tier of college football outside of the Power 5.
Yeah, it looks like I don't know what the Big 12 is going to do, but obviously Oklahoma, Texas are in the SEC. I think if the Big 10 were able to Paul Feinbaum's point, if they were able to get Oregon and USC, that's pretty similar brand names.
Yeah,
that's not. I mean, football right now. Oregon, you can make the argument, is better than Texas. And certainly USC is at least as good as Texas right now in football. They don't have the money, and that's part of why you want Texas.
And Texas has the staying power. It doesn't matter how many coaches.
And the academic profile. They have the academic profile to go anywhere they want. They're similar to Notre Dame in that way. Notre Dame is what everybody kind of wants as well. The Big Ten has been courting them along with everybody else in college football. But it feels like Notre Dame just might land in the ACC. They're already there for basketball and for all their other sports.
Well, and that's interesting, too, if you move on. I mean, to Feinbaum's point, if you grab Oregon and USC, you destroy the Pac-12, then the ACC is sitting there. SEC would probably jump on those teams. Notre Dame will have to choose, eventually, again, if it gets to the point, Notre Dame would have to choose between the Big Ten and the SEC because the ACC might start getting picked apart, too. That's the fear of this for some people. I don't necessarily think it'd be awful if you have kind of two conferences, kind of like the NFL, AFC, NFC, be Big Ten and SEC. It'd be kind of weird. And then you'd kind of have lower level football to play at non-con games as well. But, that's not the future that I necessarily want to see, but nothing's up to me. I mean, this changes all the way out of most of college football diehards, the fan base. They want things to stay somewhat similar. It looks like it might all blow up. And if the Big Ten, the SEC certainly jump-started that thing with grabbing Oklahoma and Texas, but the Big Ten, if they react, instead of doing this alliance, if they reacted by going and getting Notre Dame and USC or Oregon and USC, then it would start. I mean, I think the big bidding would start to get to the two major conferences. So it's interesting to see where it lands, and I'm always interested in that dynamic with Oklahoma. Oklahoma supposedly has this big rivalry with Texas. Well, they seem to be going along with whatever Texas wants to do throughout the last, 30 years. First, they let Texas come in and destroy the Big 8, destroy their protected rival in Nebraska. Now they're letting Texas ruin their rivalry with Oklahoma State. They don't care. They'll just follow Texas.
Because Texas has money, and you're right. They'll just follow Texas wherever Texas wants to go. I don't see Notre Dame ever going to the SEC. I do think that they might go to the ACC, and they feel like a perfect fit for the Big Ten.
It would be.
But Notre Dame knows they can go wherever they want to go, and they're always going to have a home. That's probably why they're going to stay independent. So there you go on that. Let's get to break and come back with our Big Ten Blitz. Oh, actually, that's going to be moved to 1:30 because BC has a lunch date. So we'll talk to Brian Christopherson of Husker 24/7. We'll do that next.
You're listening to Tom and Bock. Watch live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch.
The decision to replace your air conditioner will save or waste money for 15 to 20 years. Bryant offers some of the most efficient ACs available, up to 26 SEER. Schedule your free estimate at BryantLincoln.com.
At Beatrice Bakery, it's not just our headline fruitcakes that are worth shouting about. Every single cake that leaves our factory is handmade and packed with passion. There's the most important cake of the day in our breakfast breads, the classic coffee cake, liqueur cake, and you can even choose kosher and no added sugar alternatives. Visit them in Beatrice at 201 South 5th Street or find them all right now at BeatriceBakery.com. They'll deliver anywhere. Beatrice Bakery, welcome to our world of young.
Security First Bank. We're the bank, and we make your mortgage more manageable with flexible terms, trusted advice, and competitive rates. When you work with us, we'll know your name, but we'll also get to know your home dreams too. Security First Bank of Lincoln. Voted best small bank in Nebraska by Newsweek magazine. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. NMLS number 505011.
Baseball's back, and it's time to celebrate, Lincoln. We're inviting fans back to Haymarket Park to join in the fun for the Salt Dogs 20th season. Pick out single-game tickets and plot your own Salt Dog schedule around promos and deals. Come to Haymarket Park for Nebraska Medical Association Thank You Tuesdays, Fairbury brand Wiener Wednesdays, Thirsty Thursdays, Fireworks Fridays, Souvenir Saturdays, and Sunday Family Fun Days brought to you by Casey's. Get your tickets for the Salt Dogs celebration season at saltdogs.com.
At Gaina Trucking, you can make a better income, a better career, and a better life. Gaina Trucking and Excavating is now hiring Class A and B CDL drivers. Careers include amazing benefits with a 401k, healthcare, paid vacations, annual raises, and so much more. 40-hour work weeks guaranteed year-round. To be a part of this amazing career opportunity, apply online at GainaTrucking.com. Don't miss our team culture, benefits, and a career that will give you a better life. Be better at Gaina Trucking and Excavating.
Join DP and Jay Foreman on Wednesday at Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. DP will go 1-1 at 3 with Husker Online Sean Callahan, and Jay joins in from 4 to 6 to preview the Illinois game and more. That's all this Wednesday at Tanner's 30th and Yankee Hill.
Are you sick of mindlessly running on a treadmill or the lack of motivation to consistently work out? Whatever your challenge, Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping can help. Whether you want to lose weight, boost energy, or simply improve your overall health, you'll fit right in at Farrell's regardless of age or abilities. Build endurance with their kickboxing and strength training group fitness classes while also getting nutrition coaching. Try Farrell's now for a free week. Visit fxblincoln.com or call Jeff at 402-310-4026. Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping.
Have you been to Barn Wooden Leather, that new furniture store in Lincoln? It's a whole new look. If you like country, you'll love Barn Wooden Leather. It's country with a kick. Rustic, yet contemporary, handcrafted in America from historic reclaimed barnwood and the finest leather. Create your own one-of-a-kind look for a room or your whole home. Come see for yourself at Barn Wooden Leather, South 14th and Dahlberg. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 5.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. 93.7 The Ticket sports news go now.
I'm Enrique Alvarez-Clary.
Most important game of Saturday. I think that's been stressed on the team. We can't get ahead of ourselves. We got to go one game at a time. And Illinois, we've been, since the Rutgers game last year, we've been had our eyes on Illinois. So it is the biggest game because we've been preparing for the last 8 months for this game. So, like I said, I think the team is excited and confident going into this game Saturday.
That was offensive lineman Ethan Piper yesterday speaking on the conversations in the locker room about this season and how important the first game of the year is to them. With the Huskers' Week 0 game at Illinois slowly approaching, things are starting to take shape with the team. Despite the lack of a depth chart from both Nebraska and the Illini, Nebraska's defense has taken shape with the handing out of the black shirts. 12 of the prestigious jerseys were handed out to the defense, 3 in the secondary, 4 on the defensive line, and 5 to the linebackers. Notable missing black shirt, the second corner opposite of Cam Taylor-Britt. The first game of the season up in Champaign this Saturday will kick off at 12:20 p.m. on Fox. In MLB news, the Kansas City Royals extended their win streak to 4 games with a 7-1 win over the Astros. The Chicago Cubs ended their 13-game losing streak inside the friendly confines of Wrigley Field with a 6-4 victory over the Rockies, and something had to give in the first matchup between two teams on 9-game win streaks in 120 years when the Yankees went down to Atlanta and beat the Braves 5-1. For more of the latest sports news and updates, keep it tuned right here to 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is Tom and Bock, coming at you live from Coppell Chevrolet GMC Studios in the heart of Lincoln, America, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here are your hosts, Tom Stevens.
I always tell people, I just hope they see a guy that loves what he does.
Jake Bockoven.
I didn't get any stupider, I know that. I have never been very smart.
Tom and Bock starts now.
We did it, Bock. We made it to hour number 3 on a Tuesday.
All right.
Tailgate Tuesday at Chick-Fil-A SouthPointe. You can stop by here at Chick-fil-A. In fact, either location, SouthPointe or 48th and O, and use your Chick-fil-A app to order or scan it to get rewards and register for a free tailgate meal for 15 people. That includes chicken nuggets, fresh fruit, also iced tea and lemonade. The winner will be announced. They'll call you.
And if you don't have 15 friends, that's more chicken nuggets
right.
for you.
I would rather not have 15 friends.
Tailgate just for myself. That beats 15. That
That's
sounds perfect.
We get to eat for free here
Oh,
in
yeah.
about 60 minutes. What are you going to have?
I'm looking forward to that. I think we go with chicken strips. I'm going to
Chicken
dip them
strips.
in some nice spicy sauce and
Okay.
enjoy the evening.
Yep. As we've discussed earlier, you're all about the chicken, and I think I was going to go with the Southwest chicken salad, which I love, but I'm kind of in a spicy chicken mood. So maybe the chicken sandwich.
Since Rico brought it up, it's staying on your mind.
It does. I mean,
hours.
anything. I would want to eat anything to be more like Rico.
That's right.
Let's bring it BC of Husker 24/7. Hi, BC. How are you?
Pretty good. Coincidentally, I'm eating a Cool Wrap that I picked up from Chick-Fil-A right now. So
nice.
I'll
I
stop,
knew you were
I'll
regular.
Stop chewing on the air, though.
Please don't chew on the air. He has very good manners, BC of Husker 24/7. I think we've talked to him in the drive-through at Chick-fil-A before, so this is great. I know we have, as a matter of fact. What was your take from yesterday's press conference? Just Scott Frost being in game mode? What was your take on that?
I don't know. I mean, it could have been that. It could have been just like, whatever I say, people are going to, take it their own way anyway. So I'm just not going to say a lot. It could be as simple as that. It could have been a little bit of, a lot of people were weighing in on his program last week and his body language and stuff like that. And maybe as a response to that, I'm not sure. In a way, there's not a lot more to say. I'll be honest. Like this week, even before he came in the room, I was thinking to myself, okay, if he's not going to talk about the specific depth chart spots and who's where, we've kind of covered all the ground at this point, and it's just like, let's play this game and see what they have. So we're really to that point as much as you could possibly be, where it's like, waiter, we'll take that football game right away, please. We're just there.
What do you think about the decision not to release the depth chart? Obviously, kind of seems like being a response to what Illinois is doing, not releasing their own.
Yeah, I don't care either way. I mean, I don't think it gives you an advantage necessarily, but I also don't. I don't blame coaches for just being like, why do we got to make that public, that particular item? As long as guys know what their roles are heading into a game, that's all that matters. It is interesting, they've got a number one running back, but they haven't said who that is necessarily. But that's going to be obviously a big storyline Saturday. And then I think the cornerback spot opposite Cam Taylor-Britt is kind of interesting. I sort of suspect Quinton Newsome will be the guy, but Braxton Clark is right there. So I think most people follow it on the daily basis, and a lot of this fan base does, sort of knows who's going to trot out there first anyway. So I don't think there's a lot of surprises that are going to happen.
It felt like third-time captain, I believe a record, Adrian Martinez, was kind of the team spokesman. He said a lot of the stuff that maybe you would expect Scott Frost to say. He was Mr. Positive. He talked about the black shirts. He talked about the unity. It just felt like maybe he was nominated to be the spokesman for any positivity you wanted to see yesterday.
Well, I mean, that's been his vibe this offseason, and you got to say he's continued that right up until a pretty intense game week. And I think you like that out of your quarterback. You like that he admitted there's going to be butterflies and all that stuff that goes with any time you're about to step on an athletic surface. But I think he's in a really good place. We've said that all for 6 months now, and it kind of showed yesterday. I think he is confident in what the offense can do and that they can silence some doubters, and now they got to go prove it. And a lot of it's going to depend on that O-line in front of them and, giving him the opportunity to shine. And if they do, he's lit up Illinois before. He probably has some good vibes going back into that stadium in Champaign, because if people remember from a couple years ago, he had a monster second half against them where Nebraska came back and won. So not that means a lot. It's kind of old news. But there is something to be said for, when he steps on that turf, he's going to remember this is a place where I've excelled and I've played well against this team before.
What do you expect for the season for Adrian Martinez? It's certainly interesting, having been benched last season, and now, we did mention it, being named captain for this year, but he seems to be on solid ground. Last year there was that kind of, Luke Martinez kind of hovering over him. This year the battle is for the backup quarterback, and Adrian it seems to have that firm seat moving forward. Do you think that'll help as he prepares for this season?
I think what helps him is he's already been benched and he's already taken the worst of it. Like it's sort of like you hit that bottom point and it's like, all right, I'm still standing here. I'm still here. I'm QB1. I've taken all these arrows. I've seen what that's like. That's not going to hurt me anymore. I know the good and bad that comes with being the quarterback in the state of Nebraska and how people respond to it. And I'm just going to roll with it, and I'm gonna enjoy these last year or two of my career here, and I'm going to show people what I got. I think that's really his mindset, and I think it takes time to build to that. And I feel like last year's benching, if Adrian steps it up as many people in the program think he will this season, I think you'll look back at those 2 or 3 weeks in 2020 as pretty pivotal, and him sort of setting his mind right and saying, I'm not going out like this. I got another chapter left in me.
BC Husker 24/7 is our guest. It feels like one of the things that Nebraska's struggled to have since Scott Frost arrived, and maybe it's just me, is an identity. And we thought that identity was just going to be score lots of points. And now you're seeing guys wear hats that say run the damn ball. I think Scott Frost said he wants this program to be about the black shirts and the pipeline. Has the message changed from year one?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I mean, I will say that all spring and fall, the word we've heard a ton from offensive coaches, and especially Greg Austin, is downhill. That's what they talk about wanting to be, is a downhill running attack. And when they speak of that, Ethan Piper, I thought, put a yardage total on it yesterday when he said, what does that mean? Well, it's 4 to 5 yards a pop, and eventually 4 or 5 yards when you're really good turn into 6 or 7 yards, and then they turn into an explosive play where a guy makes a house call. And so that's going to be really the interesting part of this game early on after teams settle in is Nebraska up front consistently chewing up, 4 or 5 yards, or is it sort of what's been in the past where it's scattered, where there's a nice 5-yard play here, but then there's a no gain or a minus play, and they're behind the sticks, and it messes everything up, and they get all out of sync. So they've got to show that they can just be sort of a consistent machine up front. Not saying you're not going to have a play or two where a guy breaks through and hits you for a 1-yard loss or something. That's going to happen. That's football. But those need to be fewer and far between from what they've been in the past. And that to me will tell if they are really true in acting out that mission statement you've kind of heard.
He is Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7. Bock and I talked about this going into the break. There seems to be an announcement coming. In fact, there is an announcement coming. A Big Ten, ACC, Pac-12 alliance announced this afternoon. How good is this, or do you like it for the Big Ten?
I don't know all the ins and outs of it. I'm not going to pretend like I do, because I'll be honest, Tom. I'm into this Nebraska right now in this game that I don't know every detail of it. So I be speaking out of turn somewhat. I do think, from what I know, generally speaking, it's a protective mode that the SEC is sort of building itself up as, obviously it's been the power, but it's taking that to another level, and it's got an alliance with ESPN. I do think it's important for college football, if I may say this, that it's not just ESPN that controls everything, because I think there is a lot of danger in that. So I do think it's important that there's conferences with allegiances to multiple networks, and that expands. I don't love the place college football is at right now, and if anything those conferences can do to try to even the ground a little bit, I'm all for. But are we going to notice it right away? Whatever this means, like scheduling wise and stuff like that. I don't know. I mean, you can only play so many games in a season, and you can only schedule so many non-conference games or games against a Pac-12 team. So it might be minimal at first what we recognize to the common fan, but I do think it will matter for like TV purposes and all that stuff down the road.
There you go.
It was also announced the Big Ten yesterday kind of followed the rest of the college football, the last of the Power 5 conferences to jump in on the new COVID policy that if you do have an outbreak or if you're not able to play a game, it's no longer just going to try to be rescheduled or count as null in the standing. It's going to count as a loss. Do you agree with that? And why do you think the Big Ten waited longer than everybody else to come to that conclusion?
Yeah, I mean, at least I think they got it right. I think the Big Ten at the top's a little reactionary right now, and it worries me a little bit when you talk about even the question Tom just asked. Do you have the right people at the top making those decisions? And I'm not just talking about Kevin Warren. It's easy to take a shot at him, and we do around here a lot. But I'm talking about even like various Big Ten presidents and people at the top. It feels like in the last year or so, the Big Ten has been much more reactionary than it was when Jim Delaney was around. And you felt like back then the Big Ten was sort of setting the course for how things would go, and now it's the opposite. And, at least they came out with something here this week. I mean, it was weird finally. But, I think a forfeit is the right call on this. We're to the point where, you got to have some responsibility with how well you take care of your roster. And if you don't, you're going to have to pay the consequences. And as we know, that would be a heavy consequence, not just a loss, but think about the money that a program would lose for not having a game day, in their town if they had to forfeit a home game.
How worried are you about, because it definitely was last year. It became political, COVID, the Big Ten versus the SEC versus the ACC, and of course, the Ivy League doing their own thing. It feels like maybe they're trying to avoid a little more this becoming a, pardon the pun, political football. Do you feel like they're trying to avoid that?
Yeah, and everybody's got the rules going in, and I honestly think most coaches and players will be fine with what's set. Like if you can't field a team, you lose. That's the way it's almost always been in sports. And I think there's enough out there to protect a team from doing that if they're doing it right. That doesn't mean things can't happen. We've seen headlines every week in sports where vaccinated or not vaccinated, there's some people have got it and been vaccinated, and we could have a strange story like that pop up one of these weeks. That's just going to still be college football in 2021. But I do think Scott Frost he's tried to educate his team, the best they can. They had like 4 different doctors come in and talk to him, right at the beginning of fall camp. And I know that they've tried to be out in front of it. I don't know what their vaccination rate is or any of that stuff. And maybe that's the announcement that's coming. But, you hope that the Huskers stay healthy because they're a team that honestly needs to catch some breaks, and they got to make their own breaks. And so you got to do whatever you can to make that possible.
There you go. BC Husker 24/7. I know you got to get going. I appreciate you moving today, and thanks for the time. Enjoy your Chick-fil-A.
All right, I will do. Thanks a lot, guys.
There you go. BC Husker 24/7. I wonder if you drove through here secretly.
Oh, yeah.
BC.
We should be checking
he probably could have just sat down. We would have hooked him up with a mic. Maybe is at the one at 48 and Brian Christopherson. There he hung up the phone. There you go. But it is Tailgate Tuesday. We're going to do this all season long. Stop by Chick-fil-A, this location or the one at 48th and O here in SouthPointe or 48th and O, and use the Chick-fil-A app to order or scan to get the rewards points, and you'll be registered to win that free tailgate party meal for 15 people. If you just want to eat it yourself, you could do that as well. Chicken nuggets, fresh fruit, iced tea, and lemonade. The winner will be drawn tomorrow. Let's get to break and come back with more on Tom and Bock.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. This is Tom and Bock. 93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
The heat and humidity in full force once again today. A heat advisory in effect this afternoon. Actual temps near 100. It will feel more like 105 with a south wind at 15. Slight chance of storms this evening. A low dropping down to 71. Just a touch cooler tomorrow with a high of 93. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
At Koppel, you can shop online for the most affordable crossovers, SUVs, cars, and trucks. They have new Chevrolet and GMC or used inventory, all at your fingertips. Hi, I'm Sean Callahan, and before I got my car at Koppel, I shopped online at koppelcars.com. I found a vehicle I liked, then I drove that money-saving mile to Koppel in Louisville. You should too. It was just minutes from I-80 or at koppelcars.com.
At MD Pain, we know chronic pain is a problem. It can lead to isolation, depression, and the inability for you or a loved one to live the life you want. That doesn't need to happen. Chronic pain can be effectively managed. The doctors of MD Pain wrote the book on effective, ethical pain management. Get actual solutions with the most up-to-date, clinically proven treatment options available. No one has to suffer in silence. Get real treatment for chronic pain. Call MD Pain.
Is your kitchen outdated and in need of a facelift? Kitchen Tune-Up in Lincoln specializes in 1 to 5 day kitchen updates. A 1-day tune-up is like taking your car to get detailed. And a 5-day job can tear out cabinets and put in new ones. And they work on both kitchens and bathrooms. You don't need to worry about a long, drawn-out process that leaves your house a mess for months. It's simply 1 to 5 days with these services. Call Jason at Kitchen Tune-Up today at 402-340-0008 or go to kitchentune-up.com for more info.
Have you been to Barn Wood and Leather, that new furniture store in Lincoln? It's a whole new look. If you like country, you'll love Barn Wood and Leather. It's country with a kick. Rustic, yet contemporary. Handcrafted in America from historic reclaimed barnwood and the finest leather. Create your own one-of-a-kind look for a room or your whole home. Come see for yourself at Barn Wood and Leather, South 14th and Dahlberg. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 5.
Join DP and Jay Foreman on Wednesday at Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. DP will go 1-1 at 3 with Husker Online Sean Callahan, and Jay joins in from 4 to 6 to preview the Illinois game and more. That's all this Wednesday at Tanner's 30th and Yankee Hill.
Century Electric is now hiring for experienced licensed electricians. This position will serve around the Lincoln area on both commercial and residential jobs. Century Electric is well established with 40 years in operation. It offers a substantial hiring bonus as well as tons of benefits. For more information or to apply, go online to centuryelectric.com and click the careers tab or call them at 402-467-5550. Come work for a great company today with Century Electric, whose commitment is always to their customers.
You're listening to Tom and Bock on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back. Final hour, Tom and Bock. We are at Chick-Fil-A for Tailgate Tuesday. Going to be here till 2 o'clock every Tuesday from 11 till 2. I believe we bop back and forth from SouthPointe to 48th and O. So next week, I believe 48th and O. Is that correct, Jake?
Yeah, I'll
that
tailgate anyway. Let's go.
I have a request from Rico. If he could find the Big Ten Blitz sounder, I believe it is in the folder. If you can't find it, I guess it's okay. We tried to scream at you on the microphone. Looking for it. He says, looking.
There we go.
There we go.
It's a sweet voice of Lanny Holstein.
The Big Ten Blitz. The Big Ten Blitz.
How good was it to see Lanny Holstein for the reunion party?
It's great. That guy's always full of energy.
His tweets might be my favorite in the world because sometimes he'll just say, like, I like grapefruit or something like that. He says weird things on Twitter, and it's brilliant.
And try to start an argument?
Yeah, he always trying to start an argument, but in a lovable way.
Yeah.
In a lovable way.
I feel more bad for him than anybody about the Big 12. He's such a Big 12 guy, and the conference is just falling apart from his eyes.
It's over, Lanny. Give it up. But his life is going well. He's living in Colorado, living the life, about to complete law school.
Yeah, he's doing well.
I guess he was smart to leave radio at some point.
He'll make a few more bucks probably.
Probably making a few more dollars than he would here. I want to go down the teams in the Big Ten and just one thought about each and every team. So this is going to be a rapid-fire segment. Bock, are you ready?
Yeah.
Indiana.
Well, I had this. Tom Allen says the offensive and defense split wins in their two major scrimmages this year, which is an interesting thought. They're not too dominant one side or the other. Their big come-up last year was kind of even.
Yeah. Michael Penix, is he the real deal? I don't know. I mean, some are saying he's the Big Ten Player of the Year.
Wow,
I wonder.
Got to stay healthy for that one.
I'm sold on Tom Allen, though. Maryland.
My Maryland take former Central Michigan head coach Dan Enos, now the new offensive coordinator. Will that help Tagovailoa?
Tagovailoa is my thought. If he plays really well, I think they could be really good. I don't think I don't know. I mean, sometimes he's really good, and other times he's not so good.
That's it. He had 2 games last year with 3 interceptions. When he starts getting bad, it gets pretty bad. But the other games he was really good. He was helping him to win.
Michigan State.
Michigan State, 2 yards per rush last year. That's got to go up. That's abysmal.
I think it's from the perspective of, did they find a quarterback? It feels like Rocky Lombardi has moved on. I don't know who their quarterback is going to be. I don't know who their quarterback will be, and I just don't know. I mean, they did have a couple of upsets last year, Michigan and Northwestern, but it was pretty ugly. But COVID could be blamed for a lot of this. Michigan, I'm interested. They have the IMD there is partnering with players to sell NIL jerseys, so Michigan fans can at least buy jerseys with players' names on the back. That's what we've wanted for years. Of course, they took away like the numbers. You used to have the best players' numbers you could go out and buy. I think those are back, but Michigan's going a step further. You love to talk about jerseys.
I love jerseys.
You do like jerseys. My thing is, Harbaugh on the hot seat. And he had that weird comment this week about their rival being Michigan State, and he avoids Ohio State like the plague. He says so many weird things.
He's said before that he's going to take him down. He's been very upfront about it before. And now I think after years of getting beaten down, it's like, let's avoid those guys.
And he goes, hey, we got to beat our rival, Michigan State.
And they do too.
Yeah.
That's part of the problem. Is he's been losing to Ohio State and Michigan State.
Ohio State.
I mentioned the stat earlier. Their quarterback has won the Greasy Breeze Player of the Year as far as quarterbacks in the Big Ten. 8 out of the 10 times it's been awarded. So I guess C.J. Stroud, even though he's new, probably will win that again this year.
That's my thing. Is C.J. Stroud? He's the only thought I have about Ohio State. He's a freshman. What has he played? I think he's thrown 3 passes, something like that. I don't even know if he's actually thrown a pass in a game yet. But he is a former 5-star. And he's trying to replace Justin Fields. If he's good, Ohio State will be good. Although Justin Fields was good, and they still got blown out by Alabama last year in the college football playoff. Penn State.
Let's see. Where's my Penn State now? Oh, yeah. Sean Clifford is interesting. He's got a very similar situation to Adrian Martinez, and that he's a returning starter. He's the best that they got, but they tried to bench him last year, and they tried to bench him against Nebraska, and that didn't turn out too well, as you remember. So
Will Levis, remember he went to where did he end up? Kentucky.
Did he transfer?
He transferred. He's somewhere else. And
I wonder if they started Sean Clifford, if they would have won that game.
Maybe.
Not that he's great,
Will Levis didn't play terrible, but neither one of them were good.
No,
neither one of them were good.
But they benched him for one game and said that's not working.
My thought is bounce back. I mean, again, COVID. That was Nebraska's big win last year, but I think that they'll have a bounce back, but I don't think they'll win that division. Rutgers.
Oh, how could it be anything except for your former Nebraska quarterback trying to get a spot there? Noah Vedral will start there. I know that for a while they were talking about whether it'd be a battle between him and what's the kid's name that was pretty bad last year?
Yeah, Stikowski, who transferred to Illinois.
Yeah, well,
so
Vedral gets the start.
So Vedral will start because the backup is gone. I would think.
He was bad.
And apparently there's a big connection between Noah Vedral and the offensive coordinator. My thought about Rutgers is Greg Schiano. There's some that are calling him the best coach in the entire Big Ten. Wow. They're recruiting like crazy right now. And we know what he did at Rutgers the first time around. That's my thought about them.
It's going to be more difficult to do that in the Big Ten, but if he can, he'd be right up there as best coach.
Well, you can recruit the state of New York, right? I would think. New Jersey. I would think they're close. We'll see. But I think Greg Schiano is the real deal. He's apparently a little crazy, but a lot of coaches are. Illinois.
Illinois, I'm interested because of what we talked about today. And Isaiah Williams, I kind of had forgot about him in our preparation, moving to wide receiver. He did just seem to be more kind of a dynamic quarterback as I watched some of their games toward the tail end than Brandon Peters. That's interesting to me that they moved him to wide receiver. I think he could be the difference in the ball game this Saturday.
Do you know, last year it was interesting that Eric Shenander said that Nebraska had two different game plans against Illinois. They didn't know if it'd be Isaiah Williams or if they didn't know if it was Brandon Peters. It was Brandon Peters who played really well. He blames himself for that loss because they had two different game plans. They should have just picked one and gone with it. My thought about
the other one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You should pick anything than what you did.
Yeah.
My thought about Illinois is identity. Maybe they finally have an identity. I didn't know what they were under Lovie Smith. I thought, maybe cover two, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know what they were going to be. I thought they would recruit at a higher level. I thought they would be better than they were. I feel like maybe you could think about Illinois and they finally have an identity. Iowa,
how about this stat? They limited their last 22 opponents to 25 points or fewer. 22 straight games. The last time that an opponent has scored more than 25 points against Iowa was when Nebraska did it in 2018, and they still lost 31 to 28. So that's just incredible. That defense has been incredible for Iowa. That's a nation-leading streak by far. The next leading team with that streak, I know it's a very specific numbers, but under 25 points is eight games straight.
my thought is you have to replace a lot of dudes. Both offensive. They have a great center. But they have Spencer Petras. Of course, it's always a quarterback at Iowa that you don't know. It's similar to Wisconsin, it feels like, although Graham Mertz is a high-profile guy. They have to replace a lot of guys on the defensive side of the ball. I'm worried about that for Iowa. They always seem to manage to do it. But I don't trust Spencer Petras, even though he's been okay.
And their first two games, they sometimes, like last year, they lost their first two games. They'll often go out there and start slow. Iowa under Kirk Ferentz does.
Lost their two first games, right? Last year?
Yeah, last year they lost their two first games, and they won their final six. This year, they can afford to lose their first two, but they can't afford to be sloppy out of the gate. They have Indiana and Iowa State.
Right. Minnesota.
How about those black uniforms that you see that the unveil to be
Here we
used
go with uniforms
against
again.
Ohio State? It was kind of surprising to see kids, not surprising, but refreshing, because when they revealed it, like they had all the lights off, they turned it on, and then all the players just went crazy over uniforms. I'm a little too. I'm getting to an age where I'm a little too old to get that excited about them, but I'm still excited to see them.
I think you'll be 85 years old and still shouting on the show about how much you love uniforms. My thought about Minnesota is PJ Fleck. I didn't believe. Now I believe. And maybe it started for me last year when they had 33 guys, 32 guys, whatever it was, in COVID protocol, and they came in and they still bullied Nebraska. The score was close, but that's a game you should win.
Yeah.
And it still bothers me that they came into Lincoln and were more physical than Nebraska with almost no players available. I'm starting to believe in PJ Fleck, and there are a lot of people that think that they might win the West.
Yeah, and then I've seen they're might have the best running back in the Big Ten. It's just they're and they didn't have any momentum coming in or really out of that game against Nebraska. And like you said, came in and bullied them. They're an interesting pick for the Big Ten West. I like that pick because it's a little bit surprising. I personally didn't do it, but I've heard some people picking them. And I can certainly see it.
It's such a simple game plan. They just run zone. They mash you, and they've got a big offensive line. Ibrahim's great, and then Atma Bell's going to be really good. It's just, they throw slant after slant and just run the ball. They have there's another team with an identity. Northwestern.
Well, the big news out of Northwestern is the running back Cam Porter out for the season. Also, Hunter Johnson beat out Ryan Haliski. That was surprising at quarterback. So I don't know with those two things, even though it's like they watched the quarterbacks and they made their decision, it makes me feel like it was just because of Pat Fitzgerald, because he has been offensively inept at times. I feel like he just went with Hunter Johnson because of experience, and I think that's going to hold Northwestern back.
Yeah, my thought on Northwestern is they take a step back. Hunter Johnson, I don't believe. I know he's a former 5-star, but even when Pat Fitzgerald announced that he was the starter, he basically said, hey, it's still going to be an ongoing competition. And you mentioned they lost Cam Porter. They've got a brand new defensive coordinator. It feels like they do it every year with Mears. I don't know how Northwestern does it. I don't think anybody does, other than Pat Fitzgerald is a really good coach, and he waits for you to fail. Probably will be okay this year, but I think they take a step back. Purdue,
Pete was named the college football creepiest mascot by Quality Logo Products. Do you agree with that? A lot of people pretty scared of that guy.
Most mascots scare me. Little Red scares me.
Yeah.
A lot of them do. But you're right. He would be up there as far as scary mascots. I think with Purdue, I think they can't run the ball. They were dead last in the Big Ten running the football. I mean, was it Horvath or the big fullback that they use?
They almost just gave up.
Yeah, they gave up running the football. Plus, they have two quarterbacks. I thought Jeff Brom was the sure thing. Remember, he turned down the Louisville gig.
Yeah.
And now Louisville or Purdue's just looking like, what happened?
He might not make it past this year.
They haven't figured it out. They're got a brand new defensive coordinator. Diaco is out of there. I think the third defensive coordinator in the last 4 years, something like that.
Well, we know that's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, that's right.
Running Diaco out of town will help.
That was a pretty good move. Nebraska learned that. And finally, Wisconsin.
Surprising stat from Wisconsin. They played in the nickel package that with 3 cornerbacks on the field. 70% of its plays last season. Usually think of Wisconsin, big linebackers, big sets, but they played a lot of nickel last year, and they're still fighting to find that third corner for this year.
Your one thoughts are way better than mine. You've got jerseys, you've got mascots, you've got nickel coverage.
Yeah.
I just think in Wisconsin's case in general, you're talking about a top 10 defense. They were not good offensively, though, last year. So rely on the defense would be my thought about Wisconsin, because I don't know how good they are offensively. They still need to find a running back. They haven't had one for, since the big guy left town. So I just think that they need to really rely on the defense in Madison, Wisconsin. But outside Ohio State, they'd be my pick.
Yeah, there are a lot of people's pick because of what you mentioned. Probably the best unit overall in the Big Ten West with that defensive side of the ball. Jim Leonard's been great there. It's crazy because they've had, it's just crazy how Wisconsin runs, because we all know about how they've had a lot of turnover at coach, and they've still been able to run everything as long as Barry Alvarez is athletic director. The same thing can be said about defensive coordinator. They've been switching those guys in and out. Now, Jim Leonard's probably been about 3 years or so in now, but for a while, it just doesn't matter who's there. That defense is going to be steady. That running game's going to be good, and Wisconsin's going to be fighting to get to a Rose Bowl.
Yeah, it just seems like it doesn't matter who the head coach is. They go up to Barry Alvarez's offense, and now he's no longer the athletic director, and he tells them what to do, and they execute the plan, and they win the West every year.
He ran Gary Anderson out of town for telling him to go back to his offense.
Right. And Gary Anderson still won there, largely coming from Utah State. So there you go. That's our wrap on the Big Ten, our Big Ten Blitz. One of many.
Yeah.
It's going to be a regular segment on this show. This is something I want to talk about because I think it's funny. Al Capone's granddaughters are hoping to, they are preparing an auction. They're going to auction off a lot of their granddad's stuff and the personal possessions. Among the possessions of Al Capone are a .45 automatic, a hand-tinted photo, in fact, several hand-tinted photos of family associates.
Associates in the mob. I know what that means.
There's also a letter sent from Capone from Alcatraz to his only child, Sonny. One of the daughters says she hopes the memorabilia will show a gentler side of Capone.
The gun? Is that what you're saying?
That's right. Oh, wow.
That's really cool, though. I'm a big fan of mob history. I've been to Alcatraz.
Really?
I went to the Mob Museum in Las Vegas.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot on Al Capone there. And I went through Chicago. One of my favorite things about going through Chicago, they'll take you on tours through the river. They'll show you the top of this building in Chicago it looks like this ultimate party pad. And that was Al Capone's spot. He used to just go party literally on top of Chicago.
Was it Pacino that played Capone in The Untouchables, one of my favorite movies? And then he takes the baseball bat and he walks around the table, and he's going to hit somebody at some point. But this will show the gentler side of Capone. He won't have a baseball bat, maybe just one of those Nerf bats. And this, or when he kills people, he'll just do it more gently.
Yeah, that's a gentle side of him.
That just made me laugh. The softer side of Capone.
That's really weird to say when you're auctioning off a gun. Just in my
That's right. I don't think maybe the pictures will show
maybe
a softer side. He's with
he
his
smiled.
son.
I'm sure he smiled.
Yeah, that's right. The other thing that I want to hit on before we go to break, Jameis Winston, 9 of 10, 123, 2 TDs for the Saints preseason opener. Well, it's not their opener, but I think it's actually their fourth game because they're all playing their fourth game. But he was really good last night. While Taysom Hill was 11 of 20 for 138 and a TD. They still haven't named Jameis Winston as the starter over Taysom Hill yet in New Orleans. What are they thinking? I mean, I think every other NFL team has announced their starting quarterback.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, it's getting to that point of the season where you probably should. It's a weird situation. I don't know if they prepared for Drew Brees to be done. I mean, Taysom Hill, that you can argue he's just not a quarterback of the future. He's a gimmick guy.
Yeah.
And Jameis Winston is serviceable as a stopgap quarterback, which you might ultimately do. I think he ultimately gets the starting job there, but he's not your answer. He's very turnover prone.
He threw 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions last year, I think it was.
Yeah,
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Last year he was a backup in New Orleans. Last time he was a starter. He was like, I remember having him and having to start him on my fantasy roster. And I would have like 18, 20 points. And then I'd look back and it was like at 11.
Yes.
Because he thrown two pick sixes in a row. I mean, he threw like consecutive games with pick sixes.
I'll tell you what, and it might not be the favorite of any coach, but a quarterback that can throw a lot of picks and a lot of touchdowns, very exciting. Keeps you on your edge all game long. He
threw a pass that was ridiculously good in last night's preseason game for a touchdown. But it's a pass that probably shouldn't have been thrown. The receiver's double covered. I can't even remember who it was, but it was a touchdown. And he's going to be that. I mean, that's what he is. I don't think this far into your career you suddenly become great.
Probably not.
No, but he probably will be named the starter. And that's what Sean Payton's trying to avoid, having to name a starter between those two guys.
Well, maybe he's going to do the old Scott Frost, Brett Bielema thing and just leave that depth chart open.
That's right. That's right. There we go. That's pretty much all I wanted to hit. Let's finish out and eat. We're going to eat for real
I'm looking forward to
here
that.
at Chick-fil-A. We won't have to eat leftovers, but we will have the leftovers coming up on Tom and Bock.
You're listening to Tom and Bock. Watch live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch.
Your home should not be a zoo to unwelcomed animals. Let the experts at Bats to Rats take care of those problems. Dane has been a leader in wildlife and pest management and prevention in Lincoln and the surrounding area for 15 years. He can help you get rid of bats, rodents, and anything else. Whether it's residential or commercial buildings, schools, apartments, or churches, they're always a phone call away. Call today at 402-310-0904 or visit batsterats.com. Bats to Rats Wildlife Control and Prevention.
At Koppel, you can shop online for the most affordable crossovers, SUVs, cars, and trucks. They have new Chevrolet and GMC or used inventory, all at your fingertips. Hi, I'm Sean Callahan, and before I got my car at Koppel, I shopped online at koppelcars.com. I found a vehicle I liked, then I drove that money-saving mile to Koppel in Louisville. You should too. It was just minutes from I-80 or at koppelcars.com.
Hi, Andy Neal of Cartridge World. We are not a big box store that sells everything and specializes in nothing. Cartridge World is your local expert when it comes to streamlining office printing and scanning. No big box can match our proven no-cost lease program. We customize solutions that supply you with multifunction printers and all the required service just for buying cartridge roll, ink, and toner at a 30% savings. Call for a no-cost consultation, 464-3455, or go online to cartridgeworld.com.
Dancing at weddings, walking the dog, playing with grandchildren. These are the small moments that make life great. They're also the moments that chronic pain steals from us. Don't let chronic pain stop you or a loved one from living life. At MD Pain, we wrote the book on effective, ethical pain management. We offer the most up-to-date treatments from Nebraska's leading physicians. Don't let pain stand in your way. Call MD Pain.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by Security First Bank. A relationship you can count on.
The heat and humidity in full force once again today. A heat advisory in effect this afternoon. Actual temps near 100. It will feel more like 105 with a south wind at 15. Slight chance of storms this evening. A low dropping down to 71. Just a touch cooler tomorrow with a high of 93. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Now that Ken Richards has purchased Broker's Agency, he and his professional staff will continue to provide their clients with the same excellent service under the Broker's Insurance Agency name. Broker's Insurance Agency works with more than 15 companies to help find the best policy for you to avoid any long hassles. Also, if you're looking to get into the insurance business as an independent agent, they have the formula to make that process smooth and successful. Call Ken with Broker's Insurance Agency today at 402-420-5353 or visit brokersinsuranceNE.com. Is your kitchen outdated and in need of a facelift? Kitchen Tune-Up in Lincoln specializes in 1 to 5 day kitchen updates. A 1-day tune-up is like taking your car to get detailed, and a 5-day job can tear out cabinets and put in new ones, and they work on both kitchens and bathrooms. You don't need to worry about a long, drawn-out process that leaves your house a mess for months. It's simply 1 to 5 days with these services. Call Jason at Kitchen Tune-Up today at 402-340-0008 or go to kitchentuneup.com for more info.
Have you been to Barn Wooden Leather, that new furniture store in Lincoln? It's a whole new look. If you like country, you'll love Barn Wooden Leather. It's country with a kick. Rustic, yet contemporary. Handcrafted in America from historic reclaimed barnwood and the finest leather. Create your own one-of-a-kind look for a room or your whole home. Come see for yourself at Barn Wooden Leather, South 14th and Dahlberg. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 5.
Back to Tom and Bock on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Final moments of Tom and Bock live from Chick-Fil-A at SouthPointe. We're going to be doing this every Tuesday. It's Tailgate Tuesday. And next week, we flip to 48th and O today at SouthPointe, 27th and Pine Lake. But stop by and use the Chick-fil-A app to order or scan to get your rewards points, and you'll be registered to win free tailgate meals for up to 15 people, or just eat it yourself. Chicken nuggets, fresh fruit, iced tea, and lemonade. The winner will be drawn tomorrow and contacted. So go to Chick-fil-A all year long, not just on Tailgate Tuesday, but you should just be going there. It's fantastic.
There's a sign out here. We weren't just told to do any of this, but it says chicken sandwich giveaway from today to 5 to 7.
Yeah. Maybe we could get free lunch and then get in on the giveaway as well.
Yeah,
that'd be fantastic. We are going to go to sit down and eat lunch after that, but I do want to finish up and eat the leftovers. By the way, it was De Niro, not Pacino, that was played Capone in The Untouchables.
Yeah, easy to mix those guys up.
I always get those guys confused. I don't know why, but I do. Let's eat the leftovers. ESPN football analyst Paul Feinbaum says we mentioned this briefly, says he thinks USC and Oregon would be a great fit to join the Big Ten, and then the Big Ten should just stop at that. Do you agree?
Well, I think that would be a weird place to stop. Because at that point, what do? You're just kind of in the middle ground between ultimate expansion and just staying pat and having 2 power conferences and then kind of a second tier of the ACC. And then, so that's kind of weird. But I do think that if they want to keep up with the SEC, they'll have to add somebody big. And I think that's why they haven't decided to make a move, is there's just not a whole lot out there unless you're going to destroy the Pac-12.
Scott Frost's press conference lasted 5 minutes and 3 seconds yesterday, despite 21 questions. Was he going Bill Belichick / Nick Saban?
I think to a degree. He certainly was not in the mood to speak to the media, was not in the mood to give a whole lot. Again, we've kind of broken down what it means, how offended we are by it and all that. Ultimately, it doesn't mean a whole lot. I just think that he could have probably done a little bit better in the PR category and help promote this game. But either way, he's just like the rest of us. We just want to see football on Saturday. And if he gets a win, I'm sure he'll be a lot more talkative post-game.
It is true that sometimes we criticize him for saying they had a great practice, and now he says nothing, and we criticize him. So I get it. He's just, it was only Monday, but it felt like he'd had a long weekend. Nebraska staved off elimination at the Little League World Series yesterday, a 3-2 win over Washington. The team from Hastings became the first from Nebraska to win 2 or more games at Williamsport since Hastings did it. Hastings did it years ago. No, this team is from a team from Kearney, I think, did it years ago.
I think Hastings just dominates.
Yeah.
It's
Hastings, no, I think it was a team from Kearney that did it. But Hastings will play either Texas or New Jersey tomorrow. I think they'll win it all.
I don't think that they'll win it all, unfortunately. I mean, of course, I'll be cheering for them. It's hard for me to imagine that the best baseball, Little League baseball is played in Nebraska, but who knows? Maybe it could happen. I just know when they had a chance that they had to fight off elimination to get into this, and they got blown out one game. So I'm going to hold that against those kids.
Yeah, I think they staved off elimination, so it's going to be tough. I mean, I think there are undefeated teams still left. Yeah, Kearney did it in 2012. Made the Little League World Series.
It's good to get some representation out there.
Yeah, I think it's fun to watch. I just had it on, and those kids really make plays. I enjoy the Little League World Series. I haven't watched it a lot in the past, but it seems like the parents are just – they would make me nervous as a kid watching. They're intense. Some of those parents are almost too intense.
Well, I think I don't want to speak on behalf of every kid, but if they make it to the Little League World Series, I'm sure their parents are going to be very serious about having them play baseball year-round. So good luck to those kids.
When your son makes the Little League World Series, you'll just be screaming at everybody, won't you?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm not going to put the pressure on him. I don't think he'll make the Little League World Series. I never played T-ball and it struck out in softball games, so I don't know if he gets my genes, it's not going to work out for him.
That's an optimistic view of your son. Trev Alberts, Barrett Rue, Jason Peter, Jay Foreman, Danny Noonan, Chris and Chad Kelsey, also Kenny Wilhite, handed out the black shirts. Should they do that every year?
Oh, yeah, they should. I mean, I think some sort of combination of that. Of course, always Jay Foreman. He's the best among all of them, obviously. But obviously, he's part of the station. So we got to give a shout out to Jay Foreman. But it's awesome to see him, Peter, some of those former guys, the Kelsey brothers. Haven't heard from them in a while. Just around the program. And, again, we kind of joked about earlier. Sometimes the current players won't even know who they are.
Right.
But, I think it's especially cool for the fans, and then especially cool for some of those more homegrown Husker fans or Husker players, or more the, just the more ones that are more interested in history. It means a little bit more, and they know it. And you hear their motivational speeches about, doing it for the past players, the future players, and the past players are to have them handed out. That's perfect. It's better than just going to find it in your locker room, which I know they've done in the past.
Yeah,
too.
they just hang it in the locker room.
Surprise, which is cool. I mean, there's either way you find out your black shirt, it's pretty cool, but I think this is the best way to do it.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that the former black shirts are doing it. It is funny to me, and I understand that Cam Taylor-Britt believed it was Trev Alberts who handed him his black shirt. Might want to do some study on that, the former Buckus
You got to
winner.
be nice to that guy. He's actually the athletic director.
Yeah, you might want to get to know that guy. He could help you out probably in years to come. Nebraska volleyball got some good news on the injury front. Of course, Nicklin Hames yesterday, they learned that the ankle injury was not that bad. It was just a badly sprained ankle. They thought it could be broken for a while, but x-rays revealed no broken bones. She's a 3-year starter who helped Nebraska get to the national championship game as a freshman. How big is this for the Huskers?
Oh, absolutely huge. I mean, and it's kind of crazy because, there's so many names on that team that you can kind of point to. So maybe a certain injury here and there wouldn't completely disrail them. But we saw it kind of happen last year in tournament time. They weren't completely healthy. If this seems completely healthy, I do believe they'll be right up there for the national championship. So as long as nothing gets in the way as far as injuries, and especially to your center, that might be a little bit harder to replace than some other positions. So absolutely huge. She's a big part of that team.
Nebraska opens their season this Friday with a match against Tulsa at 11 a.m. Hames not expected to play. Kendall Orr is coming off an injury, a knee surgery from last year, and she hasn't practiced full time. So they're going to need a setter. Good thing they're probably playing Tulsa, right?
Yeah, probably. I mean, because they usually do. They play some difficult. I'm sure they have some difficult non-con games coming too.
So she's coming off knee surgery. John Cook says he's not even sure about his starting lineup. I mean, he's got a really good team. This is the most competitive they've ever been. He says that Lindsey Krause has been a beast in practice, really dominant, and the best server. So a lot of good news for Nebraska volleyball, and the best news coming that Nicklin Hames is only got a sprained ankle. But it's been fun.
Yeah.
Nice job.
I think it's time to eat some chicken.
Let's go eat chicken. Thanks, Bock. We are at Chick-fil-A, and it's live from 48th. And, you can register there, SouthPointe location as well. Come by here. And all today, get on the app to order or scan to get the rewards points, and you'll be registered for a free tailgate meal for 15 chicken nuggets, fresh fruit, iced tea, lemonade, all that stuff. They're going to pick the winner tomorrow. All right, we are out. Have yourself a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Tom and Bock.